Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So happy that
And
you're here.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to apologize now that I sound like I smoke 30 packs of cigarettes a day, but it's just a Texas cold. I promise. No COVID. I've done several tests. I just sound like a man.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. How are you today?
Right. Well, let's see
And
who's
before
chilling. What? Yeah, go.
before we get started, I just have to say, happy anniversary.
Oh, yeah. It's like in a day or two, right?
It is, but since we're together now, we can celebrate now.
I don't have
And if
an
I don't tell you now,
anniversary
I'll
song or
forget.
anything. Well, yeah. Tell me about it. I can't say anything. Nothing whatsoever about forgetting things. Yeah, it's been what? It's been a year since at least I popped on board, right?
No, so
No.
it was 3 years ago that we did our first joint episode
What?
because Mama Bear's thing fell down in the podcast studio. We were talking about her, and do you remember that? In her
Oh, I told you.
obituary card fell down from a top shelf.
Oh, yes. I do remember
We were
this.
doing
Yes.
the Pom Pom Mom from Channelview, Texas.
That's right.
That was
I
3 years ago.
Golly. I mean, admittedly, there's like 2.5 years there that I just kind of have blocked out. But yeah, Franco, call me out. I deserve it. I was 2 years off.
Now,
How dare I?
no one hate me, but you do have male genitalia, so I think it's just happens.
I mean, yeah, but like I remember my wife's birthday, the kids' birthdays, our anniversary. I remember when we were married. Like I don't have problems there.
Okay, then you're
But
perfect. You don't need to care about me. You just need to
I'm
care
not
about
perfect.
her and them.
I'm far from perfect. I'm so far from perfect. Oh my god. Oh.
Hey, I mean, you were raised right because I have so many friends that are married. Their husbands don't remember their birthdays, don't remember their anniversaries. I've become the person that texts them, hey, don't forget to get your wife a present. Hey, don't forget it's tomorrow. And I do my kids, hey, don't forget it's your dad's birthday who I divorced, but you still need to remember him. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. There is a bit of cheating, and that's because I usually am the one that goes to the pharmacy and picks up prescriptions. So I am constantly saying birthdays over and over again to get the medication. So
Okay, I was
it helps
worried
though,
when
right?
you said that you were cheating. I was getting ready to just go on a different tangent and say, how dare you
Teri
cheat
was going to
on
reach
your
through the
beautiful
camera,
wife?
right? No. No. That is not the case.
Because I will help her bury your body.
I would help me bury my body. I would help her bury my pronouns are hard. Pronouns are difficult. We've got some let's see here. Hold on a second. Some folks have popped in. Hello, Sydney. Hello. Hi, Megan.
Hello. Hi, Megan.
Shireen says sexy voice, Teri.
Well, I'm glad somebody likes it.
I've been told I would forget my coolness if they weren't attached. Hello, Holly Berry.
Thanks,
everybody for joining us. I appreciate it. We hope that you enjoy the show. The beginning of it is usually a catch-up time, which we're going to do, not the condiment. And then we're going to hop into an update on True Crime Wine Time Investigates, Chase Lackey. And then we're going to pass right on through that into our live recording of our podcast, in which we're discussing couples that kill. So this is going to be fun.
Now, if I can throw us off track, I sent you a picture of a little fur thing. how about for part of our catch up, we normally talk about headlines. I need
Yes.
to tell you, and I will tell you when to post it, but this just happened. And I got permission from the officer who posted this, and it is a theft report. So let me share.
Let me apparently send it to myself because I didn't do it.
Okay.
think I
Well,
would
I
have.
can read while you're pulling it up.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
On the morning of September 20th, 2023 at 6:55 a.m., I entered the kitchen area of my residence to grab some fresh-made sausage patties. Upon my arrival, 8 sausage patties and the paper plate they were on was missing from the kitchen counter. An inspection of the area yielded an empty paper plate on the floor with a single strand of what appeared to be a black dog hair. The suspect, identified as Buckles, was last seen heading for the doggy door with a full belly and a guilty look on his plate. And we have his photo.
Should I? We do have
Please.
his photo. It is coming up right now.
There's Buckles.
Buckles looks like he's seen some shit. That's all I'm gonna
Buckles
say.
looks
He looks
guilty.
like he's seen some shit. He also kind of looks like he might have gotten into the catnip, possibly into a special brownie. There's a Shunka. Can you confirm? Is that special brownie stare? That's what I want to know. Holly says Buckles is innocent.
You know, that is what I said on my friend's post. I said, wait a minute. He is innocent till proven guilty, and I will volunteer to be on the jury, and I've decided he's innocent. Oh, Jody and the doggy door.
Like I said, my first juror tried to take a kid's apple out of her hand today. Justice for Buckles. I'm his alibi. We were at the movies.
See? But I saw that on my friend's Facebook, and I texted him on the site. I'm like, can I please share this on my live stream? Because this is the perfect crime. Even though we're not doing a perfect crime tonight. And look at that look. He's like, who, me? I didn't do it.
It wouldn't. It's the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. Oh my gosh. She says it's because Kona Bean looks like that when I have all the
Okay.
Oh, Tabitha, we're glad that you are, and thank you so much for the kind comment.
Yes.
And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Okay, now I actually have tears.
I'm
laughing.
Oh no.
No. That is not a guilty look. He's just wondering why his dad is taking a picture of him at 7:00 in the morning before he's had his coffee. Buckles needs his coffee. That's what that is.
We didn't even have him sign a waiver.
Oh, my daughter-in-law and granddaughter. That is them.
Hi.
That is Monkey Butt and my daughter-in-law, Megan. Hi, guys. Yes,
And I'm going to follow that really cute comment up with this one because that makes me laugh. When you're older. Hi, Tash. Well, so that was adorable. You said you had a...
Oh, not that picture. Okay.
We're not there yet either. We're not there. There we are. You said you had that story, and I had no idea what to expect, but I am psyched now that you told me that. That's adorable. My Ramona, who is 11 and doesn't give any of those things, since I now know the age of somebody who's watching, Mona will just kind of inch towards the table, and there was one point where as little Bruce Crime was grabbing, I almost said his name, is grabbing his burger, she literally just went Brimp, and just right out of his hands.
Well,
we're getting questions about that.
Oh yes. I am just gonna say, from my opinion, He was shell-shocked and beyond excited.
Can I play it? I'm gonna play it tomorrow on the stream. I don't know if you're okay with. Are you okay with me playing it?
Oh my God, it's a little brew crime. Please.
Okay.
Remember,
All right.
I once sent him a Toy Story wreath I made.
Yes, I'm gonna take a picture of that and post it because it's amazing.
What? You remember Dad was. I was going to ask folks about donations and stuff. Yeah. Raising money. Yeah. I did that last night. And some folks donated, which is good. I don't know how much. How much? Are you going to read the number to me? $739. It's over 400. It is over 400. Is that how much it was? Over 400? Yeah, I had to get over 400. Yeah. I've never gotten over 400 this year. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
the
love
unbridled joy.
and
then
love it.
I had to hit pause because immediately after that, the Bluey theme song came on, and I don't feel like getting a copyright strike. So,
come on, why not? Let's not. Please.
We don't want a copyright strike before we monetize, Teri.
That's true. That's true. Let's not get in trouble anywhere. Please.
Well, he was super excited. He is still excited. And so I will be putting all of that into the thing. It takes a second to like transfer everything. So once I do.
Okay.
He's very
This
excited.
just made me, everybody, I give my littles, my grandkids, I named Miss Elizabeth Monkey Butt because I made her little diaper covers with this cute little monkey's face so that when she crawled, her butt shook and it had a little monkey on it. And so I named her Monkey Butt.
Aww.
And I have
so
friends
nice.
And former coworkers, they'll be like, hey, how's Monkey Butt? And they're like, by the way, does she have a name?
Nope.
I'm like, it's Monkey
Nope.
Butt.
Not at all.
I can't wait till she grows up and gets married and I embarrass her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
With Monkey Butt.
I mean, you should like elbow your way to a microphone during the wedding and make sure.
Elbow my way? Are you kidding? I'll just walk up and take it.
All right, well.
Mama's in the house.
Mama's in the house. Put little Monkey Butt.
Before we get to headlines, since we're talking about kids, I don't know if anybody has seen, because I've started doing this insane thing with TikTok and makeup, which I'm not great at. But I saw an update right before we went live about the daycare in New York where the kids were exposed to fentanyl. And one died.
No.
3 were saved with Narcan. No. They've arrested the owner of the daycare who said she didn't know, but they found a kilo of fentanyl. Today, they found a trap door inside the daycare with all of this drugs and stuff. And I saw it right before I walked in here. And I told HH, I said, could you do me a favor? He goes, what? I said, could you turn that effing off? Because that pisses me off. Who would ever consider distributing drugs from a daycare? Ever.
That was a cover? Who?
Yeah.
Can I tell you, like, there are so many easier businesses to have as a cover. So, like, I get it, like, innocence and kids and stuff like that. Like, well, I don't get it, but, like, I see where that was going. But, like, own a laundromat. Like, Breaking Bad, they did all their cooking under, like, an industrial... I'm not giving you hints or tips, like, but seriously, keep it out of the kids.
But the fact that and the other thing, so it was a home daycare. It had been open about a year, had passed all of its inspections. She was renting out a room within this home daycare to this guy. But they apparently were doing this together. So they originally found a press thing. And then I did the update yesterday that they found the kilo of fentanyl. And then tonight seeing the picture, Lester Holt, was talking about it. And I'm like, it was an entire hidden drawer with multiple bags of drugs and stuff. The fact that only one child died is shocking. They had to give Narcan to the other children. And we're talking toddlers. So they're holding them both and not letting them out on bail. I do believe we have a good justice system to some degree. They have a right to trial. I can't help but think we should just take them out behind the barn.
Yeah, we should give them to Buckles.
We should do something.
Tash says that what's crazy is that that place was inspected a week before.
Well, so I'm curious, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive tonight into it. I want to know how they found the trap door in the daycare, because they didn't find it when they did the initial search. Because this happened 3 days ago is when I believe I covered it the first time. Sorry, being sick this week, I'm a little lost, but I want to know how they found it.
Jeez.
And I don't know what the rules are in New York, but I hope they're going to prison and they never get out.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
I mean,
good grief.
We send our kids to school and daycares and we expect them to be safe. And you think they're going to be okay. And why would you start a daycare? A person who runs a daycare, my aunt, my dad's sister, owned a daycare for many, many years in Galveston. People were on the waiting list to go there because everybody wanted to stay there. She did it because she loved kids, not because she made a lot of money. My uncle was a fire chief. She wanted to stay at home with her kids, and she did it because she loved kids. Why would you start a daycare? Because let me tell you, taking care of kids is not easy.
No. That's frustrating.
I just need to say that they need to just go away. Just go away.
Yep, for sure. For sure. All right.
Okay, I love this. Somebody's little one is called Bacon Bit.
Yeah, chunk of bacon.
Chunk of bacon, but Bacon Bit. I love that. Well, I'm ready to get started whenever you are, Master. That is the only time I will ever call you that, so you better enjoy it. It must be the decongestants. It must be.
HBO has had like 50 Shades on for like a consistent 3 weeks. So if you've caught that, then I'm going to say that's why. And now I'm going to hit the video. Here we go.
Alrighty. Well, before we get into our update, we're going to get serious for a minute. If you've seen my TikTok, and I think I maybe put it on our Facebook, we have received 2 messages now on our tip line. And I just want to say to the person or persons who called in to the tip line, one was a call, one was a text tip, and told us to stop looking into the disappearance of Chase, that I do not like being told what to do. And my parents found out the hard way. Telling me what to do means I'm going to do the exact opposite. It got me in a lot of trouble. But in this case, they're asking me to stop trying to give a family peace.
Yeah, I mean, and they have to. You know what? They don't have to know. They probably don't know. But saying stop investigating tells us exactly what we want to know. Something happened.
I mean, right. And I just want to say, how dare you tell us that? Because I want to say to them, just think if this was your mother or someone you loved, if you know how to love, was missing, wouldn't you want to bring them home, even if it's only their remains? You know, you want that peace because it breaks my heart. And I'll be honest, I've lost many hours of sleep investigating this, as I'm sure you have with me messaging and us going back and forth all hours of the night. As a mom, going to bed at night and not knowing where my child is, I can't. I can't. So I want to say, do me a favor. If you know something, please call back. Tell us where to find him. Then I will give you what you want. And so will JT. So will the 2 investigators. We will stop looking into his disappearance because we will have found him. So you'll get what you want.
Yep. And that's the only way it's going to stop.
Exactly. I mean, it may get to where we only do an update once every 3 months or something because no new stuff is happening. But I just want to say, how dare you? And I want you to go look in the mirror. And I want you to think about, there's got to be somebody in your life that you love or that somebody that loves you. Wouldn't you want them to be able to go to bed?
Imagine somebody ripped your drugs out of your hands and placed them somewhere where I mean, it sounds like I'm making a joke, but I'm not, because my guess is that they love that more than anything else. And so I hate assuming, but I'm going to assume. I feel safe
It's okay.
at this point for now. And just imagine somebody ripped it out of your hands and it's like, you know what? It's going away. And they buried it somewhere and you had no access to anything else and you had to figure out where it was. I'm pretty sure you'd go to the ends of the earth to actually probably try and find it. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there because one thing that they've done is they've made me want to do even more and has kind of lit a fire under me because you've told me what to do. I don't like being told. And you want me to go against humanity.
Yeah, I thought I heard, I thought I felt a disturbance in the force, with like Handsome Hubby and a massive like, ooh, after you received that and told him about it. Like I felt this like.
I must confess, and I know Handsome Hubby's not watching because he's out mowing the back 40. I haven't told him about the notes.
Oh boy. Oh well.
Yes,
now
Kelly.
I really sense a disturbance in the force.
We both have P.O. boxes. I haven't told him. They were not threatening. They didn't say they were going to do anything. They basically said, stop looking into his disappearance.
Dub H, for when you're listening to this later, I want you to know I had no idea that you didn't know.
Oh, did you just throw me under the bus and it's around our anniversary?
I sure did. Because he can destroy me. He's a big burly man and I tap dance. Come on. Like,
I'm going to just say to Megan and Monkey Butt, if y'all are still watching, you better keep your mouth shut, little girl.
Well, I mean, once we download this episode, he's sure going to know.
Yeah, considering he's the one who edits all of our audio to put it up on the podcast. Like I said, only reason I haven't told him is because, like I said, I've been sick this week. We won't get into details about some of the little craziness I had happen with my health, but
you're here.
That's the only reason I'm here. Oh, hello.
And I don't.
That is my son.
Hi, Jeff.
Oh, crap.
Is Jeff the one that I friended on Facebook? Is that Jeff?
Yes, that is Jeffa.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
Jeffa, just tell me what it'll cost to keep secrets, because Mom, keep some of your secrets if need be. But So, like I said, I just want them to know that, we're not doing this because we want to put you in prison. If you did this, that's the cop's job. I want to bring Chase home. I need to be able to go to bed at night knowing that Craig and Debbie know what happened to their son. Because if it's causing me to not sleep, I can't even try to put myself in their shoes. I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, just tell us where he is, and then I'll give you what you want. Now, I don't know if JT will give you what you want, but I am committing that I will give you what you want. We'll stop looking into his disappearance because he won't be disappeared anymore.
It is a well-known fact that I cost 35 cents for everything. So, I with the inflation, which isn't terrible in comparison to other countries. I just like to lower. I like to lower the bar, right? So everybody, I'm for everybody. I'm for everybody. Everybody's.
I'm not for everybody.
Somewhere in a couch.
I say I am not for everybody, and that's why I've got 2 ex-husbands.
But now you have. You have a whole husband. And
so, JT, is it okay if I spill a little tea with your permission?
Sure.
So JT has agreed he is going to do, since I do makeup and headlines, he is going to do a full face of makeup for our TikTok. And
absolutely,
that will be coming here in a couple weeks. So, and I didn't even have to give him 35 cents. My only thing I wished is that we lived close enough so we could do it together.
Right? This is like, this is literally like when Brandy sent me a text that said, hey, we're going to read this thing. What do you think about wearing a wig? And I was like, she did not expect me to say, I think I got one upstairs. She expected me to put up a fight. I did not put up a fight. And now I have a whole entire wig wall. Ta-da!
Well, I just got a new one in, but I'm saving it for our next Perfect Crime episode because I did at Jeffree Star. I'm not going to spill the tea, but he has a different nickname that he used during a certain period of his life. If he wants to share it.
Who, I did?
He can. No, Jeffa did, but I will not say what it was.
Yay, I stay. I truly, if I had another 10 hours in a day, Teri, you know this. If I had another 10 hours in a day, I would totally work on being a drag queen. I do not have another 10 hours in a day, but my ADHD says you totally need to do it.
Oh, and you could do my makeup. I could do yours. You could probably teach me a few things.
Is that his nickname? Is that his nickname? It just showed up in the chat.
It actually, there's dynamic is missing.
He added it right there.
There you go. Yeah. Just imagine as a mom, the first time I heard that, if I would have been drinking something, I would have spit it out. But yeah.
Well, wait.
And I just remember. I don't know if it is. I don't want to know.
Too?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. You can maybe ask my handsome son-in-law about that, but I don't need to know. Just knowing that it's dynamic is more than this mom ever needed.
I mean, it's better than bland. That's all I'm saying.
Now,
all right.
To the person
we got to get back. We got to get back.
The person who sent the message about stop investigating, I'm going to say, as a mom, I would even go to the end of the earth to find out what happened to the dynamic penis. And now we're going to keep going. So,
It was Tommy's birthday yesterday.
oh, happy birthday, Tommy.
I think it was yesterday. The days are blending. All right.
Every time I see Tommy's name when I join the 13th drawer, I have to stop because I know a Tommy Jones. And I'm always like, wait, is that her? I'm like, oh, wait, no, there's more than one Tommy Jones in this world.
I know a Tommy Lee Jones. He was in Men in Black.
I was like, say, isn't that an actor?
And yeah.
Okay.
I was being an ass.
Okay.
Ooh, sorry, monkey butt. Ignore me. I didn't say that.
Okay, that's okay. Well, now we're going to get into Chase's update. And I want to start with a timeline that JT is going to share. And this timeline is the weekend that Chase was last seen. Oh, yeah, I might have to pull that up on my screen too, because these old eyes cannot see that. And you would think I would know.
You can full screen if you hover over the feed.
Oh, now I can see it.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay, cool.
So Friday, June 30th, Chase played in a softball game in Crosby, Texas. Several of his family members were there. One thing I want to say here, when talking to, I've talked to 10, 12 people now, but talking to several of Chase's friends, one of the friends told me that he is envious of the relationship Chase had with his parents. He goes, as, you know, an adult, he goes, the fact that his dad and his sister went to watch him play softball in a rec league. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I swam and played water polo. I can tell you my father never saw me swim and never saw me play water polo. My mom maybe did once or twice, but they were always at my brother's football and baseball games, which is fine because my grandmother was always there. But I thought that was really cool that this 31-year-old male told me, he goes, I was kind of envious because he wasn't a mama's boy, so to speak, or a daddy's boy. They were a good family and they loved each other. So I think that's really cool. And I think as a parent, it made me realize I need to make sure I support my adult children as much as I did when they were children, because I don't think about that. Of course, neither one of my children play sports, but I should still support them in their other things that they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I don't take for granted and appreciate, you know, is that Papa and Mama Bruce Crime. They are extremely supportive and have been since day one. So day zero, really, and still continue to be. So, and not in an enabling way, but like in a very supportive. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between enabling and being supportive, and they're just very good at it. So,
yeah, like Mama Bear, which is what we call my mom because of my maiden name was. She is who got me into true crime. And, you know, she would be in these chats talking with us and she would be telling, but Mariska would have done it this way. And I'd be like, Mom, I'm not Olivia Benson. I can't. Sorry. So on Saturday. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was literally going to say, so what was next? And you were going there. So there we go.
Oh, so on Saturday, July 1st, and I want to say real quick, this information all comes from the police reports that are starting to come in from my Freedom of Information Act request. Okay. So this is actually in police files.
Okay.
Just want to make that clear. So on July 1st, Chase was seen outside his apartment with Champ, and he also texted with a friend around 10 p.m. on Saturday. Okay. Then on Sunday, and if you see my dates don't work, that should be Sunday, July 2nd. Chase was seen at the apartment complex. He was helping a neighbor move items into a U-Haul. So somebody was moving out. The interesting thing there, the two witnesses, they could not 100% say it was Sunday. They went back and forth between Saturday and Sunday. Part of me wants to say it was on Saturday. The The reason why, his family tried to call and text him on Sunday and there was no response and there was no activity on that phone on Chase's end after Saturday. But the police files say Sunday. That's where they landed with it. So that's where we're going to land with it.
Okay.
Okay. So then on Monday, July 3rd, when they started looking at bank statements, Chase used his debit card at a Shell station in Houston. But as we all know, he could have used that card on Saturday and it not posted till Monday.
Right.
And we'll get into that more with our next slides because the police did not do a great job of looking into that. But Chase was also supposed to be in traffic court, and he did not show up for traffic court that day. So now the next day is when family and a couple of friends went to Chase's apartment looking for him. Mm-hmm. Then we keep on going. Then on July 5th, I mean, I give his family and friends credit. They just jumped right in. They did not wait. They were like, yeah, this is not normal. He did not respond to texts from his mom, his dad, his sister, his besties. They were like, we're going to find out what's going on. So they started putting up flyers immediately. So July 5th. Now, I'm not going to call out the apartment complex's name. I'm going to be nice.
They took them down.
They forced them to take them down. And I'm just going to tell you, I would not live in that complex. I would not live in any property that they own. They did not cooperate with the private investigator, family, or police. They were a roadblock.
I think you should call them out, to be honest with you, because I would never. Yeah, Shunk is right. I would put them on blast.
Well,
but you're being good.
Okay, well, let me rephrase that. I'm not putting them out on blast now because I have sent them a letter asking them why is it a corporate policy. If I don't hear back or if I don't like their answer, I'm going to blast them all over the place. I am giving them the opportunity to defend themselves because maybe it was just one person in the office that was that way. Maybe it wasn't a corporate policy.
Yeah, it could have been either a really crappy person or a person having a bad day, but that's a pretty bad day. Like that's aliens are invading and the world's exploding kind of a bad day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't work in that industry, but I happen to know someone who does. And I can't imagine that he would not go to his corporate office and say, hey, this happened. This person's missing. Let's do this. How about this? Even the family wanted to, because this happened July 4th, they wanted to keep the apartment in case he came back. Still charged him for rent the next month. Couldn't you have comped him a month?
No, they won't.
Because you move into properties. I remember back when I lived in an apartment, there would be all these concessions. Oh, you can have a month free kind of thing. Couldn't they have given him a month free? So,
those are predatory apartment complexes, and I don't like those. I have no patience for those. It's like predatory health insurance. I don't like it. I have no patience for it.
Like I said, I'm trying to give them the opportunity to respond. If they don't, not all landlords, Kelly, but yeah, there's a lot of them that are. But then I will put them out. So there's that. Now we jump to Thursday, September 21st. During that time, the police were doing a lot of interviews. They were doing some investigation, but these are really things that lit my mind up. So those are the dates I put on here when I created this. Someone attempted to use Chase's debit card at an East Houston ATM.
So hold on.
It was not Chase. They did get the video footage and it was not Chase.
Okay. But they have the video footage.
Mm-hmm. I've put in the request for it, so waiting to see if we get it.
Why? You know what? I'm going to ask a lot of obvious questions, which is there's no good reason. Why? Did they contact this person? Did they find the person? No, they didn't. Did
they did not put in their notes. Now, the documents are still coming in. So we've gotten 79 pages so far. Don't want to say they didn't look into it. As of right now, I know you read the reports, the investigators did. As of now, there's no documentation that they did anything besides look at the video photos and say it wasn't Chase. They did not investigate more that we see right now. It could come in later documents. So I'm trying to be very careful, not throw them under the bus quite yet. We should get the next round of documents next week. And then it's going to be Katie bar the door.
All I'm saying is that this is not a shoe, but I am going to let you know what it is. So, okay. Yep. I'm going to keep, I will wait. I'll wait till you unleash me.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. And just so everybody knows, when I say East Houston, since I grew up there, a lot of people may be confused. The east side of Houston is North Shore, Channelview, Crosby, Baytown, and some other little areas. We all had Houston zip codes except for Crosby and Baytown, but it's considered the east side of town. We were past the Budweiser Brewery. Past there. So you could smell the hops in the air growing up. But anyway, that's a different story.
I like how you have a Budweiser brewery down the road from you, and so do I.
Yeah. So then next, May 25th, 2018, a tip came in that a body may be present in a pond in East Houston. So the tip came in and it was interesting. Somebody saw on Google Photos or Google Earth map photo thing, this pond, and they said it looked like there was a body there. Now, they did do something. So if you see on Wednesday the 30th, they actually searched that pond and no evidence of a body was found. Now, the interesting thing was the person called the tip in, the photo was taken in November 2017. So if there was a body there in November, tip came in May. Animals, all kind of things. But they did not find any evidence. But the interesting thing about that, unless they didn't document it or we haven't gotten it yet, they did not use cadaver dogs or do that type of search to see if there was bones or remains. They just did a cursory search. Or they didn't document well.
When I hear the phrase cursory search, what I imagine is like 8 dudes who usually are Department of Transportation. No offense. It's not your fault. It's the system. Just like transportation workers who are just staring at a pothole and looking at it going, that's a pothole. And then they walk away.
Unless, like I said, unless we're getting more documents, there was 4 names listed. So they didn't even have 8.
Of course not. An entire pond, and we're sending 4 dudes.
Yeah. So, anyway, but hey, they looked. So I'm giving them that, and I'm really hoping as more stuff comes in that I'll be able to put my foot in my mouth and say, I was wrong. It just hadn't come in yet. And I almost didn't share this information, but I decided, you know what? Screw them. They should have sent it to me all at once.
I was going to say, but then she forgot that I was on the other side of this, and I am going to say stupid stuff.
Yeah. Now, then July 16th, 2019, you notice there's the whole year there? A little more than a year.
I sure do.
So Chase's family received a tip saying what happened to Chase was common knowledge and that there was a female adult dancer who set up a fake drug buy and that Chase was killed during that. Now, whether it's a rumor, tip, whatever, once again, no investigation. And supposedly they called her a female adult dancer. They called her an adult entertainer, and then they called her a stripper. And I'm like, can we just say she was a dancer? But so she was a dancer. Supposedly she lived in the same complex. And I actually, with talking to the people I've been interviewing, 2 of the people I talked to mentioned this. So it is a rumor or something that has gone around that would happen. She lived in the same complex, apparently. So if he was walking with this dog and was going to just drop it off, I could see maybe doing that because Champ was his little buddy. But I'm disturbed by the fact there's no investigation, no search warrants, because one of the individuals I talked to said, well, yeah, but it's common knowledge that she's done it before.
Yeah.
And
it's just oddly specific. You know what I mean?
it is.
Like, it is just oddly specific that it is a it's a dancer who lives in that exact same neighborhood or apartment complex who set up it's so oddly specific and appropriate in terms of a person who could do it. Jesus. Well,
yeah. So
yeah.
like I said, I grew up there. I know a couple of people that work in that sheriff's department. They're not a bad group of people. They are understaffed, but God, if this was a blonde, good-looking girl, you can't tell me they wouldn't have done a lot more. Now, if it was me, they would have probably been like, yeah, no, she's too much trouble. But I mean,
do you remember when she was growing up? I think not.
Do you not remember the trouble she caused her parents? Hey, I never got arrested in my hometown. Never. I mean, knock on wood.
There was a very
I'm going back there.
Specific end of that sentence that said "in my hometown." That's all I'm gonna say. Teri, you've been told that you should go undercover at a strip club.
Oh,
Jeff, how do you feel about that? That's all I'm saying.
HH would probably be on board with it as long as I wasn't the one stripping, because people would be asking for their money back. Or they would pay me to get dressed.
One of the first things Franco said, I'd have to scroll up a little bit. One of the first things Franco said was like, "You do not look like a grandma."
And yes, Captain remembered I did train dancers back in the day, but I didn't strip. I just trained them on how to dance and move their bodies. I kept my clothes on because nobody wanted to see. Oh, wow.
One button at a time.
Shireen. Nip. Nip. Nip, nip, nip. Nip. So then... Same here. Same here.
I'm sharing my screen, right? And I think my sound. So this is appropriate.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
That is.
Okay, continue on.
So I find this extremely interesting and frustrating. I wished I would have put the dates in here of when they got the cell phone records, but it wasn't until August 3rd, 2019. Mind you, Chase went missing July 2017. They got the records way before August 2019, but that's when they went to the location where Chase and a friend's phones pinged on Saturday. That is 2 flippin' years. And they did a cursory search, took some photos, and that was it. Didn't do a search with dogs. We have Texas EquiSearch, who is very famous in Texas. A lot of people know about them. They help a lot.
Yes.
Why did you not reach out and say, hey, pinged here, we don't know anything for sure, but could you come out? I can't imagine they would have said no. 2 years. And I'm going to ask y'all to put a pin in it. Remember about the friend whose phone pinged with Chase, because our next slides, we're going to get into that. See, they do. Tim and the group are amazing. And I would love if he would call and say, hey, would you like to come with us one day? and go out, and I would be like, I'm all there. I'm part of our community emergency response team. I got my go bag, got my boots, I got all my stuff.
We should get him on the show.
We should.
And I wonder, honestly, it would be
knew that.
interesting to get him on the show to talk about kind of, number one, what he does and how we can support
Mm-hmm.
him, but also what would he have done?
Right.
Do you know
I
what
would
I mean?
love to
Like,
know.
Yeah, because I guarantee you he would have a plan for this, probably right off the top of his head.
Oh, now they did do one small search near the apartment complex
Okay.
where Chase lived. Unless they did more and it's just not documented. The documentation, like I said, I'm really hoping when we get more in that it's better, because I'm hoping these guys didn't go to school in North Shore where I went, because they might need to go back on their documentation skills. I will say that their spelling was very good. Didn't find a lot of typos. Oh, put it back. I want to do that last line.
Oh.
I want you to look. So that was August 3rd, 2019. The last documentation by law enforcement in the file, besides a documentation like 2 months after this that says nothing's happening, was the last documentation on Chase's case that we've received to date. I have a huge problem with that. I know the case has gone cold. Thank you. I was feeling a little self-conscious because I was going to reach out to Brandy, the chart goddess, and tell the chart goddess I needed some tutorials.
I think you did a really good job. Do you want to go here next?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
can you?
Oh,
There
wait.
you go.
Yeah. What do you want me to bring up?
Can you put it in presentation mode so it does a line at a time?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That makes it a little easier for these old lady eyes. So
Yes.
now, as we get into these, I want to give y'all a little bit of information before we jump into important dates. Now, as I've said, on July 4th, Chase's family went to his apartment to look for him. They found some things in his apartment that were disturbing and a surprise to them. For those of you who don't know about this case and are just here for the first time, they found his apartment locked. His hide key was gone. He was known to keep a key above the door. Guys, I did the same thing when I lived in that area. I literally had a key above my door. How I'm still alive today, I don't know, but it's something that we did. But anyway, the family and friends, they broke in through a backsliding glass door. When they got in, they did find evidence of drugs in the apartment. Okay. On the coffee table was rolling papers, a little ball of weed, along with some other items. And we'll get into that a bit more in a minute. But they also discovered a money counting machine, empty shipping containers that smelled of weed, and some shipping labels. Now, there were no large amounts of money or large amounts of drugs found in the apartment.
They'd have a really hard time countering the argument that because they found that's why the search hasn't been as intense. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it at that.
That's my thought. That's my thought as well. And
yeah,
Chase had a bulletproof vest inside the apartment, and he owned at least one shotgun, which he got when his grandfather passed away. I mean, guys, if he was a major drug player, he would have had a lot more guns. This is Texas.
If he was just a citizen, he'd have a lot more guns.
I mean, I have 3.
Yeah, right. All right.
But,
what are you trying to say? No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, I have a shotgun, I have a pistol, and then we have HH's dad was a police officer, and he has his dad's old service revolver. We don't even have bullets for it, but we have a gun.
It's fascinating to me, and I'm not saying that this was the case, but I'm just going to kind of hit just like a mouse-sized soapbox. that something to that degree, a small thing of weed, yes, a money counting machine. Yes, there was stuff there, but that
Mhm.
does not lessen the importance of a human life.
Exactly.
It,
And
it just
and that's what
doesn't.
I've
It doesn't. So
it doesn't, and that's what I've said before. So the way police and law enforcement look at people in the drug industry or in the sex trade, they're still humans. They're still
yep.
someone's kid. And we're talking Chase was involved in this like maybe 6 months, 8 months. He was a good kid, graduated high school, great athlete, worked in the iron industry, had ties to his family, his community. So he's still a human.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we look back? And it's a cliche and a trope at this point, but how many times do we look back and because of a certain choice of victim, do people go for far longer than they ever should?
Mhm.
Like ever. Like Charles Albright, who was the eyeball killer. He focused
Oh,
on sex workers and
hmm
and he got away with it far longer than if he chose 19-year-old sorority girls. And
hmm
I'm not saying that one's more important than the other, obviously. What I'm saying is that they're equals. Humans are humans,
hmm
and we should not, obviously this country has a hard time saying that some people are lesser than others, which it's a whole nother, that's a bigger than a mouse box soapbox,
right.
but yeah. So it's ridiculous.
Now, I will say the family members that were there were shocked. I talked to one of the sisters who was there. She was surprised. She didn't, she had never seen marijuana before. It's so Chase grew up in a really good family, close knit family. So they were surprised. The friends were aware that Chase had gotten involved in it because they are pretty darn sure he was working with a friend that they all went to high school with. And I've told myself I'm not going to say his name today because I've got messages out to him, letters out to him, trying to hear his side. I don't want to tarnish his name with innuendos and rumors. So I'm going to give him another week or two. And then after that, all bets are off. So, but
You have been served.
he is the friend who helped Chase work on a pot farm in California to help Chase make some money after losing his job. Yes, it's legal in California, and we are talking about marijuana, not anything harder.
I can think
But
of nothing more fun.
I am going to say, and we'll get to it a little bit more, but the friend basically denies having any involvement with the drug trade. But how did you know to refer him to work on a pot farm if you know nothing about it?
Right? It's not like they well, I mean, maybe they do have like the flyers with the pull tabs. I don't know. I don't
I
know
mean,
how
I'm
like
in HR,
maybe it is.
and I don't know, how do you go apply for that job? You got to
I mean,
know
I'm guessing
somebody, I'm
they have
guessing.
HR too. If they have don't they have higher like requirements than most companies. Certainly, in fact, I would say that weed companies and growers have higher. Number one, they're penalized for like far more. They're also charged far more, but I think they have way higher requirements than even like the oil companies in this country. So, I mean,
Well,
they would have to have some kind of. I'm
mm-mm.
guessing that there's a background check. I'm
I'm
guessing there's an
digging.
HR.
I'm digging into some of those.
Yeah.
There's some underground stuff going on.
Oh,
So
well,
it's not as legit as we think it is. And there's some pretty strong evidence that some cartels are involved, even with the pot farms,
uh,
which isn't surprising.
no, no. Oh, well, that
But
answers that question and demolishes my thought.
yeah, I was going to
Oops.
say, I don't think they do, not to the extent, but I wanted to just talk that a little bit more because now we're going to get into these dates that are important. Now, as we continue this investigation, I will continue to share more dates as they come in. JT, we'll just continue sharing them. So let's pop up the first one.
All right. Oh, it helps if I click on it.
So during the investigation, it was discovered that back in April of 2017, Chase and a friend had money seized at Dallas Airport. Over $100,000. They were flying from Texas to California. They had it in their carry-on bags and they got caught with it. And they couldn't give an explanation as to why they had this money. Chase, being the sweet, you could tell innocent and non-knowledgeable guy, he said, "Oh, my uncle gave it to me so that I could flip houses." Well, guess what? They called the uncle and the uncle was like, "Huh? What?" So,
real quick, Julie, is the font too small? I can make it bigger.
yes, please make it
Are you okay with
bigger.
me making it bigger?
Oh, please, God, yes.
Maybe I can't.
I was like, yeah.
Let me just do it for. Actually, that looks bigger, anyways. Okay, we'll just go. We'll go slide by slide.
Okay.
Hopefully, that's a little bit bigger. Okay. Ooh.
I say that or
okay.
zoom in if you can.
Can I zoom? Oh, hey, look
Look at
that.
that.
Okay.
So hopefully that's better. So what's interesting, they were not detained. They just took the money because they couldn't prove that anything bad was happening with it. And they give you the opportunity to file documents showing why you have it and to get it back. Well, didn't get it back. But I just think that was very interesting. This happened April 18th. He went missing July 4th.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at
You're
that.
welcome,
I'm laughing
Wendy.
at Wendy. That was my free eye exam. Thank you.
So I think
All right, next one.
that is very interesting. I don't know why. I know talked about it with the investigators. We agree, you too, JT. This has something to do with it, most likely, because money is something that you don't mess with in that world.
Yeah, no, not at all. And 100K is nothing to sneeze at. So,
yeah. Okay, let's do the next one.
oh, come on. Oh, it doesn't like. I'm gonna have to like zoom in and out.
Okay,
Those all pop
so
up
that's
at the
fine.
same time. Is that okay?
No, I did them together. So
Okay,
is
cool.
this not interesting on his bank card? Look at all of the flights on Southwest. April 19th, April 26th, May 11th, May 17th, June 20th, missing July 4th. So
It's almost like he lost the money and then they said, well, now you have to do these things for us. And he did those things for them. And then they said, we're still pissed.
yeah, because I'm like, you wouldn't fly back and forth that much if you're working on the farm, right?
Yeah, no, that's not the idea.
Yeah. So then
No.
if you pop up the next one, I found this to be interesting as well. April, May, and June, there's multiple transactions for food and other things. Texas, California, and Las Vegas. Las Vegas is just a hop, skip, and a jump from California.
It is.
And I can tell you, after living in Vegas for 4 years, there's a lot of bad stuff that goes down in that town. And young, attractive guy, potentially cash, drug money. I mean, there's just a whole lot that makes my head spin on that.
Yeah.
So, let's So this just goes on July 4th. Family enters the apartment. If you want to also share your screen. So a photo was taken on July 4th of Chase's coffee table. That's the top photo on July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the photo below, which is taken 2 days later.
One of these things is not like the other.
I want to see if anyone notices things, if they want to put it in the comments. Because the very first thing is very obvious. The phone is different. Top photo, it's a white phone. Missing money. Yes. Different phone. If you also notice, the ledger is upside down. The letter is missing. Book is backwards. Yes. The spit cup is missing too. See? Yeah. So, guys, here's the thing to keep in mind about this. The family locked the door. So somebody had a key or took the hide key and got in and did these things.
Oh, the car keys are missing.
It's a key fob to get in. It's a key fob. His truck was in the garage. I mean, looking at this, it looks like he was rolling a joint and went out, to go walk the dog. A friend pulled up and said, hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. Lives right there, buy a couple of things. But what I find very interesting, they wanted that white phone. Because if you're going to take a phone, why even leave one? Why not just take the phone? Why leave another one? Now, there was no SIM card in the phone.
Yeah, see, I think whoever came in was like, oh, that's an iPhone. I want that.
Or what was on the phone. And we'll get into it later. We've got, information coming in about the records they found. But I find it very interesting. Somebody came into that apartment and did this after the family relocked the apartment, filed a missing persons report, and this happened. So who had access to this? Who got in there?
The other thing is either it was Mrs. Doubtfire or the spit cup belonged to the person who broke in. Why else would you remove a spit cup? What's the point? If it was Chase's, why does it matter? Yeah.
And nowhere in any of the documentation that we've received, because I think they had family and friends come in and go through the apartment, they didn't do any fingerprinting, DNA collection, nothing.
Is this not basic 101? Is it not?
It's almost like they were like, oh, so many people have been in here, it's contaminated, let's just not do it. But I'm like, why don't you just say, okay, mom, you were here, dad, you were here, sister, friend, give me your fingerprints, give me your DNA, rule them out, and then check to see who's the odd one out. What doesn't match? They didn't do any of that. Or if they did, they didn't document it, but nowhere does it say called in crime scene text. It's like they saw it and they're like, yeah. And so this, kudos to his family for taking these photos. This to me is 100% proof in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do what they were supposed to.
Yeah. No, not at all. I mean, number one, you don't, well, I don't remember what the word is, but you don't mess with a crime scene. Don't let a bunch of, I don't understand. This is lazy is what this is to me.
I mean, I can see them saying, oh, but now 5 people have been in here, the family. So that's 5 people's fingerprints you get in DNA. It's not that many.
It's not hard to. It's not like this was a public place with hundreds of thousands
Right.
of people.
They
This
get
is
it from
something
hotel rooms.
right.
So
Again, yeah.
found that very interesting. So we can go
Yeah.
back to the time, but
Okay.
this to me is just glaring.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Why is this not showing up? Okay, we're just gonna go there.
And then
All
there
right,
should
so
just be
photo
one more on
taken.
this.
Ah.
Yeah, there should be one more on this
Ah.
page.
Oh, switched out and moved. Okay, here we go.
That's okay. So then on July 10th, the investigator, it was a private investigator that the family hired, interviewed a friend who was with him when the money was seized at the Dallas airport. Now, this friend tells the investigator that he got Chase the job working on the pot farm. And the friend said he had nothing to do with the drugs. So,
But he has an arrest for them.
but he has an arrest for drugs. And he knew people at the drug farm to get him the job.
Oh.
And I have talked to two people that were not friends with Chase, that are around the same age. They're kids of somebody I know. I told them the person's name. They're like, oh, yeah, he was a big drug dealer. It is common knowledge the guy's a drug dealer. But he told the police, oh, I ain't done no drugs. I am a self-made millionaire by the time I'm 23 because I have a clothing line and I sold a total of 500 pieces.
Funny thing
Well,
about my clothing line,
it's more like 50.
it's weed.
But we'll go with it. So yeah, I just found that. Here's the other thing that I don't understand. The police did not call him out on this.
Of course not.
Now, the police reports that we have are the summaries. We are waiting on the disc with the actual audio and video. I'm really hoping they did, and they just didn't put it in the summary, because I have to tell you, with me summarizing all these interviews, you summarizing interviews, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Oh, he was also in the friend's wedding. And I'm going to I've had a glass of wine now. The friend has unfriended Chase on Facebook, not returning my calls, emails. I have mailed 7 letters to his last known addresses, went and left postcards at his house, have reached out to his girlfriend who accepted my friend request on Facebook, sent her a message, unfriended me, and blocked me.
So, like, this doesn't.
I'm
what
not
is our
saying he
definition
did.
of friend?
I'm not saying he did anything to Chase. Just want to know y'all were in the same world. There's documented proof that y'all were in the same world. You were arrested a year ago with lots of pounds of marijuana in Texas. So you were in that world. I'm not saying he did anything to his friend. I'm just saying, tell us your side of the story.
I mean, I've seen The Hangover, but other than that, and on a more serious note, something that I do say on a regular basis is like silence is one of the loudest noises of them all.
It is.
You're forcing silence by defriending, blocking, etc. And to me, that says, that I don't know, just why? Like, be smarter, be better.
I mean, and if you truly cared about him, we have an anonymous tip line. Call in and say, hey, give us information, and I don't want you to use my name. And this person has children, has an ex-wife now and a girlfriend who has kids. You have a family. You're a family man. You've spent the night. You spent the night at Chase's house when you were in high school. You went to his house. You've talked to his parents. You know his parents. How dare you? Let's move on before I blow my top. So they interview another friend on July 20th. This is a friend that would take care of Champ when Chase had to, go out of town or do things. However, he stopped taking care of Champ when Chase said, hey, I'm packaging and shipping marijuana from California to Texas. The friend tried to tell him, get out while you can. It's not a good thing to do. And he stopped watching Champ. I found that, he did the right thing. You try to tell your friend to stop doing it. But they also interviewed another friend on the same day who told police that a couple of months back, Chase told him that he was scared as a couple of guys were after him. Which leads me to wonder if that's why he had a bulletproof vest. You get money taken from you. So I didn't put it on here, but Chase also got robbed and lost about $60,000. I don't know if it was cash or product.
Good God.
In the months leading up to this. So a lot of money, then a lot of product. There's, some potential for some backlash on that. So I could definitely see why he was looking over his shoulder and thought someone was after him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So let's go to the next one.
I'm
Nope.
sorry. All right, here we go.
Now, I hate that this was on my birthday, but it was. So activity showed up on Chase's Facebook account and his Twitter account. The family had to alert the police to this. The police didn't find it. The family alerted them, and the family agreed it was not the way Chase talked or verbiage. And I went and looked at one of the posts. It did not resemble what Chase had posted before. Not saying it wasn't Chase, but I'm going to say it was not in his normal character. But I found it interesting that the family had to notify the police about it. Wouldn't the police put alerts on those things?
No. Well, they didn't put alerts on fingerprints, so.
I know. So let's do the next one. So before I go to the next one, so I was talking to an ex-girlfriend of Chase's, and she does like I randomly do to my mom, who passed away, his Facebook page. I'll just leave her messages that I'm thinking about you. Hope everything's great wherever you are. Sure. She was still sending him things on Snapchat. And I still have my note right here because we're trying to do some papers. 70 weeks ago, May 11th, 2022, someone logged into Chase's Snapchat account and read the message.
What?
70 weeks ago.
Literally track the IP address.
She's got the screenshot of it. So I've got this here because I'm going to try to report it to the official police again and see what they say. And that's why I have a post-it here.
I'd
get the IP
and
address.
Go straight to Snapchat.
You can't. You have to go through law enforcement. We've tried to do a information request, tried to see if family could do assigned data that he's missing. Just want to know the IP address because I checked with the family. They do not have the logins. Another interesting thing on Chase's Facebook account, when I started investigating this, or before we decided to do it, end of June, I was able to see Chase's friend list. It's now been marked private. That's
is
within the last couple of months.
Investigation 101. Subpoena or whatever it is. Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Now, Facebook, Snapchat, none of them play really nice with law enforcement. They really don't want to give out the information, but give the IP address of where the person was located who logged into the account. Because if it's Chase and he's living off the grid because they threatened his family, that'd be nice to know. If it is a friend who's just logging in to see if Chase is logged in, it'd be nice to know so that you're not making all these wild speculations. Because let me tell you, my brain has, I even sent a friend request. I set up a Snapchat account and tried to friend him just to see what would happen. You know? So I'm just, it just makes my head hurt. So, yeah, let's zoom in so I can read that next one. And my throat's going bad. I hope Shireen thinks it's getting sexier because I'm getting more manly for sure.
Yeah.
August 3rd, 2017, police interview another friend who was close to Chase. He said he last saw Chase 4 or 5 days before he went missing. He stated that he found out when Chase's sister called him and told him that he was missing. He said he knew Chase was working on a marijuana farm in California, but that he himself was not involved in any drug dealings. Well, he's the one that it was discovered through cell phone records. He was with Chase on that day that Chase was last seen, where they went and looked at the location.
I find it amazing that they'll look through phone records to see if they can charge somebody with something, but they won't.
Oh, just wait. It's going to
just-
get worse. It's on the next slide, but let me do this next one. September 20th.
Okay.
Police receive a tip that Chase owed a guy money and that the guy killed him and dumped his body in the river. No name of the river was documented in the files, and there was no follow-up on it. Nothing. No clarifying questions. There wasn't shit done. Or we haven't received the documents yet. Let me remember to clarify that. So let's go to the next one.
September 21st. You there?
September 21st. Yeah. Someone attempted to use Chase's debit card, with which we already did that on the timeline. So we can skip that one.
All right.
Guys, this one is batshit. So Chase's mom rented a P.O. box and forwarded his mail. Smart on her. I wouldn't have thought of that. When she checked the mail on February 7th, 2018, a birth certificate for someone named Kevin shows up in Chase's mail, but the birth certificate was not completely filled out. And they suspect it was a forgery. Once again, nothing in the police files that we've received so far said they looked into it to see if the person even was a real person. This Kevin person. Wouldn't you? Because I can see if you're in that industry, you might need a fake birth certificate so you can get fake identification to travel because you don't want to travel under your own name. Wouldn't you look into that?
Could it have possibly been Chase trying to live off the grid in a different identity, and he accidentally had it sent to his old address, and he was like, well, it's just going to go to an empty box or be sent back?
Well, I thought of that, except for, and I wasn't going to tell this till our next update, the drug dealer friend, he had his driver's license renewed this year. He had it sent to a house that he's never lived at, and the house was vacant at the time. So he just probably picked it up out of the mailbox. And I'm wondering if that is what this person was thinking they would do as well.
That's what they did. They knew the place was empty, but they didn't know.
Mama was smart.
Mom was smart.
And had everything. I would have never have thought to do that. When I read that, I was like, oh, smart mama. So, but nothing investigated on that either in the documents we have now. Let's go to the next one. Okay. So, March 9th, 2018, police interview a friend who said he was close with Chase, knew Chase had gotten involved in the drug business, and that Chase often referred to a boss man. He said he didn't exactly know who Chase worked for, but I talked to 2 more people today who also mentioned boss man.
Mhm.
Boss man, everybody so far is pointing to one person, and I'm not going to say who that person is now because still want to investigate it more, but they're all pointing at one person. So, next one.
All right, next one.
Oh, I like that chunk of bacon. Mama 1, moron 0.
Mama 1, morons none.
We can go on and do the next one because we talked about that on the timeline about the tip about the body. Next one. Yeah, duplicated stuff. So, okay, May 31st. Remember that little tip that I told you to put a pin in it? Police re-interviewed a friend who they interviewed August 3rd. The friend changed their story and said, yes, he had gotten involved with the drug business and he helped Chase out several times with shipments and had gone to California with him. And he told police that he and Chase each had 4 or 5 cell phones. Now, we're not going to get into it now, and the reason why I'm waiting for the pictures of the shipping labels. Chase seems like he was a smart guy, graduated high school, worked in the iron field. They shipped this product using their real names. Him and this friend. Real names.
No.
Not to their addresses, but with their real names.
Oh, no.
So I was like, okay, friend, first of all, you said you hadn't seen him in 4 or 5 days, but yet your phone pinged with his phone on the day he was last seen. Your name's on shipping labels with one of your addresses. I mean, dude, come on. So he is another person that is not responding to our request for conversations. And left messages with his grandmother, reached out to his mom, mailed another set of letters, no responses. So going to give it another week or two, and then his name is up for the world. And the reason why I'm doing that, if anyone is wondering, it's in the police records. It's in the public files. Their names are in there. I'm not giving anything away that's not public knowledge.
Right.
But I am giving them the opportunity to talk to me because we're not saying they had anything to do with him going missing, but they knew more about his lifestyle and his drug business. And they may know who did something. So let's go to the next one. And my thought on 4 or 5 cell phones, I've had 2 before and I couldn't keep up with 2. How the heck could you keep up with 4 or 5?
Right. No way. No way.
So July 5th, 2018, the police tried to re-interview the friend from May 31st. That friend declined to talk and no interview took place, and he stopped all contact with police and is not responding to any of our messages as well, and has spent some time in jail. So
busy.
I mean, I'm going to say if you get caught again, maybe you want to trade some information to take some time off your sentence, maybe. So
Maybe.
March 26, 2019, the police met with family members, and one member had been calling Chase's cell phone. And after about 6 months, the phone was disconnected. It stayed active. Somebody was paying the bill. Now remember, the SIM cards were not at Chase's apartment. So if you have that SIM card, you got a lot of data. The phone was briefly disconnected and it was reconnected for some time. No documentation. We're waiting on cell phone records. Now, what I don't know, because if he had 4 or 5 cell phones, don't know which phones they actually were able to get records on. I can tell you in the files, I've seen 3 different phone numbers potentially for Chase. So it'll be interesting to see when we get the cell phone reports. So we will come back to that. Now, the next thing is crazy. The friend that is not responding to me, one of the friends, that friend wrote a letter to his grandmother and told Chase's family, you need to see that letter and you'll know what happened to Chase. Basically, that's me paraphrasing. Reached out to the grandmother who said, nope, there was nothing in that letter about Chase. You don't need to see it. End of story. If that's the case, why wouldn't you just show the letter to give the family peace of mind? I'm sorry, if I had a letter that my son, my grandchild wrote to me, if a family who's missing a family member thought there was information in that letter, I'd be like, oh my God, here, let me Xerox this and give you a copy. Yes,
Right.
people, I still write notes on notebook paper. I would be like, read it. Why would you not give it to them? So that to me is just suspicious and won't take my calls. So July 16th, 2019. Now, the family received a message, I believe it was via Facebook, stating that it was common knowledge of what happened to Chase. The gentleman said that a female adult entertainer who lived in that same apartment complex set him up, killed him. As we talked about in the timeline, they did nothing with that. I put it here. That person said he was told that while he was incarcerated by somebody else. Once again, it was never looked into.
Of course not.
So you can click through because we talk about them going to that.
Good.
Talked about that. Yeah. Okay. Thoughts. As of now, we have not received any documentation on, I know I've beat this horse dead, but the horse is not dead. So the police investigated or searched any rivers based on the tip. I did find the name of a river that a tip was called in that Chase was potentially dumped in. It's in the East Houston area. They did not search. The reason I didn't put it in the tip line is because the person retracted their statement, but yet I was told the same thing when I was talking to somebody, and it was somebody different than who told the police originally. So people are starting to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting that they haven't done anything. So next. They didn't follow up on the adult entertainer in his complex. No interviews on names given during the interviews of people that Chase may have dealt with. There is 16 names and phone numbers that they got from either people giving information during interviews or from what they could get off the physical phone that they downloaded. No documentation that they called any of these flippin' people. And they have names that K-Stone, K-Bob, Shadow Man. These are people obviously people with nicknames and maybe an interesting, they're in the drug business possibly, I just, now I will say it's been 6 years. I've called all of the phone numbers, left messages on the ones that had voicemail, but I did submit the information yesterday to get backgrounds on all of them and find their last known addresses so we can send them letters. So I'm hoping we'll get that in the next week, and I will be going to the post office again and mailing my little letters.
Hey-o.
And just so you know, everybody, if you're worried about that, I'm just putting JT's address for the return address. So if they need to look for anybody. Just kidding. That's why we have a P.O. box. Well, we got a P.O. box, right?
It's true.
No search warrants issued for any of Chase's social media accounts, or not documented. How the F have you not done that? Especially when you know somebody logged into him within the month he went missing. How? Wouldn't you want to find him? I mean, let's just go on a crazy wild tangent. What if it is Chase? Wouldn't you want to find him, give his parents some closure, and then charge him with all the time that you've wasted? I mean, y'all haven't wasted that much time because you haven't done that much, but wouldn't you want, like Sherry Papini or whatever her name was that got caught for filing a false report? Wouldn't you want to do that at least? And to let the public know you can't do this crap? So, next. Or we could be done.
That is the end.
Is that the end?
last slide?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is it. For that. Now, like I said, we've interviewed several family members and Chase's, and we've submitted additional requests for police records. Also submitted requests to the FBI and the DEA around the money seizure, waiting to get those. So what I want to ask everybody until we have our next update to please keep sharing all of our posts. We also started a GoFundMe. We have received our first donation. We're trying to raise the reward money because it's common knowledge if the person who's going to give us information is involved in the drug business, $10,000 is not going to get them talking. So need to raise a lot more money on that. Well, I now have I would have to pull out my note because I do track every call I make. I know for sure I've left 4 messages and sent emails. I've not had a return phone call. I've even called in tips and I've not had a call back. So, no, they haven't. But I'm hoping that we will. I just left a message for a lieutenant who was actually a sergeant and who worked on the case. Agreed, Megan. They need to, because if not, we're going to all get together and you can do crowdfunding for things. We're going to do crowd criminal investigating and we're going to all get together and do it ourselves. And we're going to do what they're not doing. So now on our next live update, we will have Chase's mom and dad in the studio with us for a Q&A. So that will be coming up in October. And I'm really excited about that because Debbie and Craig have just been absolutely amazing throughout this process. One thing I know from personal experience, I know it's a little bit different in our family, having somebody who was murdered. The family didn't want to talk to anyone in the media. And I think it's a little bit different if your child's missing. But I also think after 6 years, it's got to be hard reliving this, talking about it, retelling the story. So I really appreciate how kind they've been and everything we've asked of them, they've done. And I had lunch with Chase's dad. He's a wonderful man, and I'm really excited that they're going to be on because they're going to be able to tell us a lot more about Chase and who he was as a person. And the one thing I can't wait to ask them, I heard today that Chase, he was a good athlete, a little bit cocky. And I asked the person, I'm like, cocky or confident? And they were like, he would play softball and not wear a glove and still caught all the balls.
Barehanded.
I'm like, okay, he has the right to be a little cocky. So excited
Just
to
a
talk
little.
to them about that. So that's our Chase update. I know it was a lot.
It was, but I mean, it definitely put a lot in perspective, especially for me. I'm very visual, and I think, I mean, everybody really, including myself, enjoyed your charts. So
Yeah.
nicely done.
Not as fancy as Miss Brandy's. And I will tell you guys, the 79 pages we have of police stuff, it's really hard picking what to share, what not to share, and kind of what we're looking at. The investigators, if we hear it twice, it's important enough to talk about, because we have found one red herring for sure. One of the friends who got him involved in the drug trade tried to say that Chase was involved with a gang in Baytown. I spent 3 days going down a rabbit hole. I would almost stake my life on it. He was not. Now, did he maybe cross that gang if he tried to sell drugs in their territory? But he was not one of their gang members. If he was, he would have been the only white gang member out of all of their members. Not saying it's impossible, but I would say it's very, very unlikely. Yeah. So that's our Chase Lackey update. And I want to say one last thing. We also need to find Champ. I know a lot of people are saying he's a dog and it's been 6 years. But Champ deserves justice too. I would like to know where his remains are, because my heart needs that too.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, we're gonna start getting to the next thing, but before that, feel like keeping everybody engaged?
Okay.
Well, I go take care of stuff.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was a little slow there on that one. So that means we can talk about JT while he's gone. So to tell y'all a little secret, when we're doing our podcast recording and we're not live, and JT runs off to the men's room, I sit there and talk smack about him behind his back. And what's so great about it, he never hears about it until I send him the video clippings after HH has done the editing. And he is always like, how could you say that to me? And I'm like, well, you should have been there. So while we're waiting for JT to come back, I would love if you would put in the comments if you have any thoughts of what maybe happened to Chase with what information you've heard that we haven't thought of or looked into. Because it truly, I think, normally you have an entire law enforcement. We've got 2 investigators, me, JT, and then the people we're reaching out to. What are we maybe not thinking of? We've pretty much ruled out that Chase would have taken his own life, because where would Champ be? Everybody has agreed that Chase loved Champ so much, he would have never left Champ not taken care of. I agree. He's got 2 friends that are sus. Very sus. Very sus. And if they're not going to say they're involved with his disappearance, they know something because they're in the same industry. It had to be someone, my thoughts, in the drug trade from what I've seen right now. I am 99% sure I found the pot farm. And the address based on some geotagging and things I found. I haven't reached out to the pot farms yet because I'm waiting to get all of the police files to see if they have. And I want to get the stuff from the FBI and the DEA because I also don't want a cartel putting a hit out on me, to be honest. I
That's fair.
I don't want to do that. Like I said, the goal is to find Chase. It is in NorCal, but platforms move around quite a bit. But the one that the geotags and locations I found, it is still there and active. And they've had some violations and they've had some issues.
Captain says, send them to my place. I'll charm them to death.
You'll charm them to death?
Yes, I'll tap dance.
I would love to see that.
It
Now-
would not be a very long series. I can promise that.
Now, I do give little updates on the Chase Lackey case on my TikToks when I do my makeup. It just randomly happens when I run out of my headline stuff, and it just randomly pops in there. So if you're ever interested in getting little tidbits before our next update, that would be the place you can get them. Just do not comment on my makeup abilities, because I specifically state daily I am not a makeup artist.
You give headliners with eyeliner.
I do.
There you go.
So, are we ready to get into our podcast?
I think so. And, nobody get confused. We're going to do the intro again, just so we have the intro at the right spot. And then we're going to push right on into couples that kill. So.
And that is not JT and I killing. Not yet, anyway.
Yet. All right. Here we go. Welcome
Again.
everybody to True Crime and Wine Time. Long time no see.
It is.
If you're listening to the podcast, just know that we also are now recording these live on our YouTube channel, True Crime and Wine Time. If you just search that in YouTube, boom, we pop up. So help us hit our 500 subscribers. That's one of the things we need to check off in order to monetize. So
Yes.
definitely please do that. And if you're watching now, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And that monetization, helps keep the wine flowing. And I have been waiting for 3 days to share my pairing for tonight. I did open it and pour me a little. I didn't wait, but I just have to tell you. So my killer couple, one of them wanted to be a naval pilot. So I got the infamous Goose Sauvignon Blanc. Goose. Because of Top Gun Goose.
Highway
And they're
to
now
the danger zone.
And they're infamous because they became killers.
I like it. I like it. Should I talk? Should I talk
Yeah,
about
tell
mine?
us what you're drinking, because now I'm pouring me a big glass. Because now you're talking.
Okay. So this is called Simply Fruit because that's what I am, Simply Fruit.
Because you're fruity.
Well, half fruit, and it's called Just Peachy, and it is I don't know, it's a bubbly fruit wine that actually is really good. I mean, really good. As you can tell, I'm almost done. So
Have you drank that all tonight? Because you just opened it.
yeah,
What's
it's
the
only
alcohol?
6% alcohol by volume.
Oh, okay.
It's only 6%. It's like super, like they even advertise that it's like less alcohol. So I mean, it's fine. It's literally like almost like drinking fruit juice, which I'm sure if I had like 4 of these would be dangerous.
Mine is 13.7. Yes, I had to put on my glasses. 13.7%.
Yes, Shireen, it is all wine fruit. It's just all grapes. But in this case, it is called Simply Fruit. I'm not quite sure what makes it simply. And we'll see how it goes tomorrow because it does contain sulfites, and I don't like those very much.
Uh-oh.
But I think I've actually grown out of my allergy to sulfites because I had red wine the other night and I was fine. So,
well, I am giving myself an A for my pairing, first of all, because my infamous goose. But we did the Chase Lackey update, which is Texas. My case is also from Texas. So I am drinking out of my Texas. I can't find my camera. My Texas embossed wine glass. How's that for pairing?
All right, listen. It's you paired it with your case and your wine glass. I paired my wine to me, which really, as Shireen has pointed out, every wine pairs with me. So,
hey, now, if you are allergic to sulfites in wine, there are these drops you can buy on Amazon because I sent them to my boss in Finland. You drop them in. I don't know what the heck it does or how it works, but I can drink red wine and the sulfites don't bother me.
Magic.
So.
It's magic.
Maybe you should try it. And I'm going to say not all wine pairs with JT. I'm going to say all alcohol pairs with JT. Wine pairs with Teri. Beer does not pair with Teri. Wine does.
I don't talk a lot about drinking and stuff on the other podcast. Although I do have on the live stream. Although I do have Brew Crime and this one, so it makes people wonder about me. But I will say this, this week has been a week, and most of the nights have not been water. We'll just say that. So here we are.
This is my first wine of the week.
Are you
Moon Punch?
Well, ma!
That's what you get for that one. I don't know what it is, but I want to know.
Rotting cabbage? Why?
I can't tell whether she's serious or not. I'm sure she will message me later.
I hope so, because I don't like cabbage, and that just to me sounds like a nightmare.
I think we need Shunka in on this whole investigation.
I agree. Lisa was making that up.
It sounded legit, and she's Welsh, so I don't know. I'm not.
I know. I was up for it, but I was just like, rotting cabbage? No.
And if we did that right, she just blasted out laughing to the point in which her neighbors are like, "What the hell's going on?" All right.
Now I want to give her a challenge. I want her to find a recipe to make moonshine with rotting cabbage.
Good luck. Welsh moonshine. I'm in.
So what case you got for us tonight, Dia?
Oh, man. All right. So the case that I am bringing to you are the Moors murders.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Yes.
This episode contains graphic content, adult language, and may not be suitable for all listeners. Sorry, guys. We have to do that for the podcast peeps.
Well, shit. Now it's all gone to hell. I really hope Monkey Butt's not watching still.
Oh, she's in bed now.
Okay, good. I
Her
feel
mama
a little
has
bit better.
her mama has put her to bed.
Yeah, Lisa's gonna have a go at the challenge. All right. Yes. So you'll see the trigger warning at the bottom. You'll also see that we did it in the beginning. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, it's triggering, whatever, please, Teri and I totally understand.
Yes.
Head out. We will see you the
Yes.
next time. It's totally fine. Okay. That's the last thing either of us want to do, is to put you in a spot where you're in a bad place.
Yes.
So
Your
all
mental
right.
health is most important.
Yes.
And some things are triggering to some and not to others. If it's triggering for you, please go take care of yourself. Go take a warm bubble bath and just think about Lisa trying to make moonshine out of rotting cabbage. Oh, can you imagine the smelly results on the after effects
no.
of that? Sorry.
No. Well, so it should first be credited that this was written by Shireen. It was yes, it was written and researched by Shireen. We both edited it over time, and now I'm recording it. And I've had it for quite some time, and admittedly, there just has not been time to record it. So this was initially, and I told you about this earlier. This was initially going to be a sidebar, but I think what we'll do is record this. We'll release it on the podcast. Also release it on 13th Juror as well, and see if we can get some cross participation and pop up the guys. I mean, the real. Listen, let's raise the curtain here. We would love to have more subscribers, right? I don't mind being honest about that at all. I mean, that's the reality. We would like to go that route, and so yes. So the Moore's Murder, Shireen, thank you so much for all your hard work on this. All right. So if you travel east over the Atlantic Ocean from America, you'll find a small island. The size of it can fit inside the state of California, almost twice over. The land area is 248,532 square kilometers, compared to the 423,970 square kilometer California. For a country so small, it has a lot of people living closely together. Despite its size, this island has a population of nearly 67.8 million people, while California boasts only 40.2, which is, California's the most populous state in America. So, for half the size, the island has 27 million more people. What island are we talking about? Teri? What do you think?
I don't know. You said east, and I'm sitting here going, is that left or right?
Well, we are talking about the United Kingdom in this case.
Hey, guys.
All right.
I am very upfront. Don't tell me. I know it's never eat soggy waffles. I still need you to say left or right.
Listen, you and I apparently have the same issue, because my dad forever, Papa Bruce Crime forever, will make fun of me for not having to think about left and right, because people are like, well, okay, well, put up your hands and which one's an L, and I'm like, well, now how do you write an L? And then they're like, well, your left hand has your ring finger, and I'm like, but that doesn't help me if I don't remember my right and my left, because I won't know this is my left hand. I mean, I know it's my left hand. I'm not that stupid. I'm being silly, but the reality is right and left. I will be so convinced when I tell somebody right when I should have said left, that they will turn right, and I'll be like, U-turn time. So here we are.
So across the pond.
Across the pond, yes. But why are we considering the area and population of the UK, I hear you asking? Well, you might expect that among a tightly packed population, you'd be able to find your fair share of vicious villains. But there's another factor at work here that you'd think would contribute to the increase in vicious crimes. Urban mass is a distinctive characteristic of the modern era, and it's something that has profoundly altered the nature of human relationships by virtue of generating an unprecedented degree of anonymity, which is something predators use to be able to hide in plain sight. They need to camouflage themselves in society, often mimicking their ways and emotions, and they do this primarily because they don't know how to behave in day-to-day life, but also in order to get away with their crimes. So, back in the 60s, individuals knew one another by name. They often had intimate knowledge of their neighbor's family history, daily routines, and personal predilections. Lections? Who knows? Math. Strangers were rarely encountered, and when encountered, were basically the subject of rumor and suspicion. And the rise of capitalism and related processes of mass migration to urban centers has resulted in individuals being immersed in a sea of strangers. Thus, anonymity has become easier to accomplish. How much do you know about your neighbors?
Across the pond or the ones next door to my house?
Across the pond. Oh, no, next door to your house.
I've got creepy vampires on one side and nice people on the other side.
Creepy? Go on.
They do not let their children play outside. And they keep their shutters or blinds shut all the time. If you knock on their front door, they step out to talk to you and will not let you see in the house. They adopted the girls the year we moved into our house 6 years ago. So we call them the vampires.
So it's Lady Gaga and her crew from American Horror Story Hotel.
I just worry one day we're going to have Dateline. Keith Morrison's going to be next door talking to them because they're crazy.
You worry or you'll be excited?
No, I worry.
Keith Morrison will be there.
Oh, no. Hey, I sleep with him every night.
That's right.
I say I sleep with Keith every night. It's me, him, and handsome hubby in bed together, plus 2 dogs every night.
We're back to 50 Shades. So along these lines,
I was gonna say, at Keith, if you want to come to my house and actually crawl in bed with us instead of just being in my ear, I'm open for a conversation.
But it's handsome hubby. I mean, maybe. I don't want to judge him.
He may not be okay with that. But he also might say,
"Where are you?"
He might also say, "Well, at his age, if he can handle you, give it a try." I'm sorry, Keith. That wasn't very nice.
Where's Ricky Watson and his horses? All right. Okay. So what I was saying was, along these lines, just today I saw my uncle post a meme that says, "Today my neighbor asked me how I was doing. I guess I got to move now." Brilliant.
What was the TV show back in the 90s where the guy, it was Tim Allen, would talk to his neighbor and the fence covered his face? But I don't remember what the show was.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Yep. Oh, it was a good show. It was a good show. No complaints from this peanut gallery. But I mean, like, how many of us actually know our neighbors? If we know our neighbors, do we know our neighbors' neighbors? My guess is that there are very few who do anymore. And this is something that's happened relatively recently. I personally remember back in the 90s being at my grandparents' house and having a block party for the entire neighborhood, or for at least the entire length of Helen Avenue. And by the mid-2000s, that was gone. People left, people moved in, the world changed, 9/11 happened for the United States. Just a lot happened. And people decided that, that wasn't vital anymore. Other boundaries of everyday life closed in to basically the 4 walls of our homes rather than the crossroads of our neighborhoods. And Britain has experienced this and has had its share of heinous crimes, to be sure. It hasn't seen a lot of serial killers. Of course, you'll say, what about Jack the Ripper? Well, while he is widely regarded as the first and most famous British serial killer, we don't hear too much about folks who followed in his footsteps. There were some, to be sure, but nowhere near what other countries in the United States see. So the duo we're going to talk to today, we're not talking to them, talk about today, is arguably much worse than Jack the Ripper, if you could put them on, on a scale. Since Jack the Ripper's crimes, and I just like since his crimes, there have been 34 British serial killers total.
That's it?
Total.
We have that like in a month.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because the FBI estimates that there are between 25 to 50 active serial killers in the United States at any given time. And media in America is often infiltrated with news of, as we know, mass shootings, crime, criminals, serial killers, and more, which is, it's not unheard of, but it is very, very rare in the UK. Very rare. So
that's because they're very proper.
Well, if memory serves me correctly, there are like crimes involving blades, right? There's like knife crimes, right? But in terms of mass shootings, not really. I mean, we're still talking about the bombing that happened, right, at the concert in England. So, and I can't even remember what the last mass shooting was, but I'm pretty sure it was just yesterday, right? I mean, I had friends at UNC when that shooting happened.
I mean, I keep trying to convince HH for us to move across the pond.
I mean, time difference would be hard for recording, but we'd figure it out. But I get your house when you move.
Sorry, guys.
What's wrong?
I don't know if y'all want me to give this little update, but I just got a message from somebody saying they want to talk to me because they may have been the person trying to use Chase's card, ATM card.
Come again?
Yes.
You want to send them an invite to this channel right now?
No, because that kind of makes me nervous, not knowing more details. I don't want to bring someone on and wind up getting ourselves in some trouble or targets on us or anything. So how about I do this? I will respond, reach out, and I will post an update in the community chat on our YouTube channel tomorrow.
Which means, more importantly, that they're watching.
Yes. Oh, I guess I should have said this earlier. There are conversations happening. I am going back to my high school for homecoming this weekend. I had someone very nicely reach out and ask me if I needed to be escorted in and out of the stadium because they heard that I was looking into this case, which tells you people are talking. And that's what we want.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
So, sorry to interrupt, but yes, I would love to move across the pond.
So, what is a serial killer? Well, it's someone who eats
Captain Crunch.
A lot of Captain Crunch. Sorry, dad joke. So according to the website, oxfordbibliographies.com, here's a definition of serial killer. Serial murder is one form of multiple murder. The term serial murder has only been part of the vernacular since the 1980s, when the Federal Bureau of Investigation began to differentiate between various forms of multiple murder. Serial murder involves the killing of multiple victims in separate events over a period of time, and that period of time between murders can be characterized as a cooling off period, where the offender returns to a normal, generally law-abiding routine before committing their next murder. Infinitely more rare than a serial killer is a serial killing couple. Killing couples are a rare breed in the dark annals of the world of murder. But when two evil entities unite, they lead to the worst crimes in history. One of the pairs we are going to look at now is Ian Brodie and Myra Hindley, better known as the Moores murderers. Why the Moores? Well, you'll find out.
That hair.
Also, yeah, right. The hair, it looks like one of my wigs, to be honest with
I
you.
like that hair.
They are that is a couple out of Beetlejuice. Like, that's the best I can think of on that front. Okay, so you can imagine killing is not a secret you readily share with your spouse. Hey there, hey there, darling. All right, Teri, you're gonna feel at home. Hey there, darling. You know what I want to do for a date night this week? No, not the movies. No, you see, usually this is a skeleton that stays well hidden inside of a killer's closet. And it's certainly not something you lead with while speed dating. I feel like I've offended Teri.
You have, because Kelly P just gave me a great idea for a new dating app.
No.
Instead of Bumblebee.
Do we call it closet skeletons?
Something skeletal match? I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Ooh, serial dater.
See?
Done it. And by that
I will
mean
tell
I've
you,
actually done it.
the psychology behind two people getting together and killing together is one of the most fascinating matches. I mean, it just to get two. I mean, it leaves me speechless because there are just so many things that have to fall just right.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. And this is definitely one of those cases. So, like, how many times have we seen family members completely unaware of what's been happening until one day their loved one's arrested and they can't believe it to be true? And so many secrets and skeletons come out at trial, even things that are not remotely relevant. And to involve another person is pretty risky for a killer. What if they went to the police about what you were up to? Involving it's perilous to do. Some would say perilously perilous. And we will see that was the very thing that eventually led to Brodie and Myra's downfall. So, it should be known that here's your trigger warning. These are crimes against children. They do focus on younger kids, between the ages of 10 and 17. So if this is not for you, again, here's another trigger warning.
Okay, I'll be back.
Just in case. Bye, Teri.
I'll be back. Just message me.
Yeah, we try. Shireen's really good with not getting too far into the weeds with everything. So in terms of very specific things, but just know that this is
okay.
Yeah. All right. So Ian Brodie would go on to use Myra Hindley to lure 5 children to their deaths.
Did you say Tom Brady?
No, Ian Brodie, not
Ian
Tom.
Brady.
Yes. And they were between the ages of 10 and 17, which honestly makes these two the worst people in the history of Britain, or some of them, Crimes against children are an entire other level of wickedness. It evokes strong emotions in every decent human, as it's our nature to protect them. And even in the prison system, they recognize this. I mean, Here's looking at you, Lori Vallow, because if you're in jail for a crime against a child or children, you're more likely to be attacked by other inmates or worse.
But what does that say about the world, that even the worst of the worst know that you shouldn't hurt children?
Yeah, you just don't.
Yeah.
Yep. So what made Myra Hindley stoop to such evil and depravity as to help Ian with hurting and killing such young children? We don't understand how falling in love with Brodie led Hindley to help him take innocent lives. It doesn't make sense. But here's the deal. Love's powerful. I mean, whatever her definition of love was, anyways. I mean, it's not only powerful, but it can be incredibly toxic. Almost as toxic as Britney Spears. I just heard a groan from everybody watching. There was a collective groan. Did you hear that in the distance? I heard it. All right. You're welcome for that.
Brittany. Brittany just needs a lot of love and a lot of medication right now.
Yep. Sure.
I love Shireen.
That's true. I added
Shireen,
that one in there.
Nobody questioned it. Just gonna be honest. Not even did I ever cross my mind that maybe that was your joke.
It's true. That is definitely dad humor, not British humor at all. So either way, it's obvious that from the minute Hindley met Brodie, she was obsessed with he was described as aloof. He was an aloof young man. While working as a typist at Millwood Merchandise Limited, a chemical company, she became intrigued by a bookkeeper, Ian Brodie. As mentioned, Brodie was aloof, or cool and distant. Perhaps this was what attracted her to him. This will make a little more sense in a little while. In turn, he saw someone he could mold to help him fulfill sick fantasies. He would share with her his ideologies that he'd picked up from reading books like Mein Kampf, the autobiographical manifesto of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, as well as other works on Nazi atrocities. Because, quite honestly, what's a better pickup line than going, "Hi, I'm Ian. Have you read Mein Kampf?" Like, it's not even in the script, but I'm pretty sure I'd kind of walk away. It definitely wouldn't work on me. So, there are some that would see this as a massive red flag. But Myra apparently saw it as an aphrodisiac. It's understood that Ian was the dominant partner in the relationship, and some believe Myra was fully brainwashed by Brodie, while others felt she was just as evil. One thing's for sure, they brought out the worst in each other. They're like a couple kind of addicted to drugs. They would just reinforce the habit again and again and again, not only in deed, but in mindset. Myra did admit later in prison that she felt she was worse than Brodie, as most children would trust her as a woman, and without her playing her part, the children would not have been murdered by Brodie. So, how was Brodie able to have such an influence on Hindley, to be able to seduce her and help him to commit such monstrous acts? So for that, we really need to go back. So let's Tarantino this, shall we? I had to find the most offensive Tarantino image that I possibly could. All right. So let's focus on Brodie for a second. He was born of a single mother in Glasgow, Scotland in 1938. His mom worked to provide for herself. Having little money, not much support, she was unable to look after a baby on her own. So soon after birth, he was given to a foster couple to be raised. In his teenage years, he was in trouble with the lot. The lot? A lot? He was in trouble with the law a lot. That's on me, actually. I specifically remember messing that up. There were red flags everywhere. It was a regular old meeting of Bahrain, China, Turkey, Canada, and North Korea. Not literally, but you get my drift, unless you don't know the flags of countries, in which case I'll just describe the attendees of the most awkward Thanksgiving dinner ever.
Please.
Okay. And yes, I did have to Google red flag countries. Okay. Ian was arrested twice for housebreaking and was arrested again when he threatened his then girlfriends with a knife. He's a real winner at this one. Because of this, on his 17th birthday, the court ordered Ian to go back to live with his biological mother and her husband, Patrick Brodie, in Manchester, England. I don't understand why to this day, because it didn't work out the first time. And he took on his stepfather's name, became Ian Brady, and this is around when he met Hindley. Now, Myra Hindley was born in Manchester to an extremely abusive father who in turn encouraged her to be violent to others. He put his young daughter into martial arts classes in a time when feminine and masculine roles were very well defined, and suffice to say, fighting was not ladylike. Now, did this early life make her susceptible to being influenced by Brady? I mean, it might have. More so, though, was the need for approval from her father, and this moved to Ian and her constant seeking of approval, thinking that approval was the equivalent of love. So, what did they do?
You know, it doesn't work that way,
This
right?
is part of the... It doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
No, not that I've seen, but okay.
Hold on. I'll just write that down. L is for the way you look at me. Oh. All right.
I'm buying you a wig that looks just like this, just so you know.
I have one, kind of. It just happens to be like a rainbow colored. So, so this is the case that goes. This is the part of the case that goes more in depth into the killings of the children, the victims. Again, if this is too much, skip forward. Look after your mental health first and foremost. So Pauline Reed, the first victim, was 16 years old. Pauline was on her way to a dance, dressed to the nines and wearing her mother's necklace. Dances were the social occasion of the week, and it was where friends hung out, and it was a prime meeting spot to meet a potential suitor. It was where the newest dances and music were being played. I mean, it was the place to be, the cat's meow. Pauline was excited to go, right? Except with a beat and more dancing. So Pauline was excited to go, and when a friend bailed on her, well, she set off on her own. I mean, remember, at this time, it was seen as okay to do. In the 60s, it was understood to be a safe time with safe neighborhoods. This was the time where mothers left their infants outside on the front door in hopes that they would nap in the fresh air.
They still do that in Finland. I was just in Finland in February. Been there twice now. They put their babies out on porches. They go into a restaurant to eat, and they have big windows. There's like 10 prams lined up outside with their babies. Because I asked if it was okay to just take one. So they still do that in some places.
Yeah.
Here you would go to prison for it. Oh,
for sure, right away. If we didn't have the bystander effect. So, children played in the streets unsupervised. School children went off to school alone, even at a very young age. Abductions and murders just didn't happen in these communities. But this was the 60s, right? The Beatles and Elvis Presley were some of the biggest musical acts, popular at the time. Everywhere you turned, you saw the fashion of tie-dye shirts, mini skirts, faded jeans. Peace and love were the idealistic emblems of the era. This was in response primarily to the fact that, the Vietnam War was in full swing, and even though Britain wasn't as involved, As America, obviously, anti-war activism traversed across the pond. So Pauline
Hey,
was on her way
JT?
to... Yes.
Your screen stopped sharing.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Because I was going to make
Thanks
a
for telling
comment that
me.
I think you would look great in that orange dress with the white go-go boots, and the picture went away.
Thank you. Well, I don't know why that happened. That's odd. But
Yeah,
oh, thank you very much.
You
Yeah.
could rock those boots.
Oh my gosh, my legs would look so long. Okay. You got me thinking
That's what
about
she
it now.
said.
It is. Hey. All right, so Pauline was on her way to the dance when Myra Hindley in a small van, followed by Ian on a motorcycle behind her, they showed up. All Ian had to do was flash his lights, which was a pre-arranged signal. Myra would stop, ask the girl for a hand finding a glove, and then offer her a lift to the dance. When up on the moors, because the glove was on the moors. When they were up there, Brodie would attack Pauline. He raped her, he slit her throat, and they unceremoniously buried her body in a hidden grave and left. So a pattern was set. Myra would lure the kids into the car, asking for help, and take them off to the moor where Brodie attacked and killed them in much the same way. They then would bury them on the moor. And he would do this not only to Pauline Reed, but to his next victims as well. The astute amongst you will have noticed why they were dubbed the Moor's murders. The moor in question has miles of undeveloped and unspoiled nature, and it is vast and very remote, making it the perfect isolated place to commit these murders. The moor specifically, so it was specifically Saddleworth Moor, and it takes its name from the parish of Saddleworth, which is in the West Riding of Yorkshire. It's part of Greater Manchester and has been since 1974. The moor is an elevated plateau with gritstone and V-shaped valleys with fast-flowing streams. Scattered farmsteads and fields are on the lower land and in the valleys, and there is overlying peat cut by drainage channels. Much of the land is open access. The peat formation itself is 9,000 years old, but where the surface has eroded, there is bare peat. Now, in addition, nothing good has really ever happened on this moor, to be honest with you. In August of 1949, a BEA Douglas DC-3 plane crashed into the hill at Wimberry Stones, killing 24 and leaving 8 survivors. The body of an unknown man was found between Chew and Doveston reservoirs, having died of strychnine poisoning. A wildfire broke out June 2018, which ended with mass evacuations and damage. 3 days later, they were still fighting the fire. As a peat moor, the fire burns underground before setting above ground on fire. This results in a ton of smoke and high temperatures. In fact, experts had said that the fire could go on for another few weeks inside. It's insane.
It's burning underground?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then in 2019, February, a fire described as apocalyptic, as you can see here, occurred on the moor. So, what a location. For sure. John Kilbride was a 12-year-old boy who worked at the nearby market. He stopped at the market on his way back from the cinema on November 23rd, 1963, and this is where he met Myra Hindley. Myra asked him to help put some boxes in her car and subsequently offered him a lift home. On the way home, Myra asked John to help her find her glove on the moor. When there, Ian again raped and strangled John and buried his body there. Keith Bennett,
Okay.
On
I
June
just-
16th, 1960.
Oh, I thought I was muted. Can I stop and ask a question?
Sure.
Why children? Do we ever find that out? Or are they just the worst people on the earth?
Ian's and
Okay.
So here's the interesting thing about this, and it will come to light in a bit here, is that Ian really focused on, he really focused on small kids, and I think it was out of his need to control. And we'll see eventually where he decides to choose kind of an older victim, and it doesn't go great because I'll talk about it. It's a really good question. But June 16th, 1964, Keith Bennett, who was also 12, he went missing on his way to stay at his grandma's house, which is a certain fairy tale and how it starts just before something really bad happens. So his mom and sisters had walked him part of the way as they were off to bingo. While they arrived at bingo, when they arrived at bingo, Keith never turned up at his grandma's house. Again, asking for assistance to load a van, Myra offered to give him a lift to his grandma's house. On the way, she said that she needed help looking for a glove on the moor. While there, Keith was raped and strangled, and his body would never be found. Now, after Keith, things changed a little. As is true of all serial killers, Ian felt the need to escalate. Myra followed suit, and their fourth victim was a 10-year-old girl by the name of Leslie Ann Downey. Leslie Ann Downey was at a fairground on December 26, 1964, when Myra Hindley had abducted her and took her back to their house. While there, Myra had started recording the torture of the 10-year-old. Leslie Ann Downey was at a fairground December 26th. We just talked about that. Sorry. On the tapes, you can hear the girl pleading to be able to go home to her parents, crying and asking not to be undressed and gagged. Obviously, I'm not going to play this tape. Myra was, at times, nice to the girl and then threatening. Now, this serves to disarm and then cause the maximum psychological harm and damage. In the house, little Leslie was raped and murdered. Her body had been taken to the moor and buried. The tapes proved to be Hindley's undoing, because they proved that Hindley wasn't a mindless follower of Brodie, but as cold and evil as he was. Did I have the wrong? Okay. All right. So
you did for a minute.
How were they?
You did for a minute, but you're good now.
What did I do?
You had the wrong slide up. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, everybody.
You're human. Right. It's okay, dear.
I'm human, and there's 53 of these slides. So how are they caught? That involves a young fellow by the name of David Smith. That's right. Wasn't really police or concerned citizens. It was just this one fella. There's David Smith, who looks like he should probably be in like a 60s pop band.
I know. I was like going, he looks like he should be a musician.
Right? He looks like he looks like he should be in Paul Revere and the Raiders, which is a callback. And people either know what I'm talking about or they don't. So
I don't, so it's okay.
Now my brain wants to tell you that you probably do. And that being said, nope, can't find anything right away. And that's okay. So, in terms of David Smith, Brodie had befriended David Smith, who had married Myra Hindley's sister. David and Ian started spending a lot of time together talking about how to commit crimes and get away with them. I believe he thought he had found another person who he could indoctrinate with his sick ideology. But he was mistaken. Brady's ultimate undoing occurred when he involved David in his final victim's murder. So Edward Evans was the fifth victim. After meeting the 17-year-old on October 6, 1965, at a railway station, Ian convinced him to go back to his house for a sexual encounter. While Edward was at the house, Myra was sent to pick up David Smith. You see, Ian believed David would be okay to be involved. And to that I say, oh, how wrong he was. When David entered the house, he saw Ian bringing a hatchet down on Edward's head. Ian then took a piece of string, strangled Edward, injuring his ankle in the struggle. Now remember, Edward was 17, and this was a fight that Ian was not ready for or used to. Afterwards, they put Edward's body in the spare room and, well, they locked the door. Afraid of Ian and what he saw, David Smith went to the nearest telephone box and rang the police. Instead, he found somewhere that was much larger on the inside. Hence the TARDIS. Okay. A strapping gentleman in a blue pinstripe suit and khaki trench coat approached him and asked, "When would you like to go?" Wait. Hold on. That's not right. That's Doctor Who. My bad. So a member of the police, basically dressed as a bread man, knocked on the door of Myra Hindley and asked for her husband. And she said, "Nope, don't know what you're talking about." And she denied even having a husband, a whole husband. To which the police identified themselves and gained admittance to the home, where they found Ian Brady on a mattress on the floor in the lounge, writing to his employer about the ankle injury he sustained while killing his latest victim. Police searched the house and they found a locked door leading to a spare room. Myra said the key was at work. But Ian told Myra to give the police the key to the door. Now, that was either in an effort to give up or because he was exhausted. And when they opened the door, they found the body of Edward Evans, and Ian was arrested. I don't want to be that person who finds those things. I don't.
No.
So, during the search of the house, a railway luggage ticket was found. And when the police went to the railway station and opened the locker, a suitcase was found. So, what was inside of the suitcase? Well, they found items belonging to children, along with photos, notebooks, and recordings of the murder of Leslie Ann Downing. They also found photos of Ian and Myra up on the moors, looking down at the ground in very specific spots. When they went up to the moor, they found the bodies of John Kilbride and Leslie Ann Downey. Myra and Ian would later take the place. Excuse me. Myra and Ian would later take the police to the moors to show them where Keith was buried. Whether Ian forgot or was messing with the police to be able to get a day out of prison, nobody can know. So the couple were tried together for 3 murders. It was obvious that Myra was in. It was obvious. Where was I? It was obvious that Myra was involved, as she was in the recording of the murder and the photos from the moor. Yet they both pleaded guilty. With a body found in the house and recordings and memorabilia found, this is mind-blowing. But it also speaks to their ego, pride, and their need for control, as well as them wanting to relive the murders and torture the victims' families. During the trial, Myra said that she had been unaware of what had happened. Ian Brady said he had hit Edward Evans with a hatchet, but it was self-defense.
Sure.
The jury was shown the recording and photos of Leslie Ann Downing, which were horrifying. Ian spent 8 hours testifying, and then Myra spent another 6 hours. Both of them together are still less than Jodi Arias. As we are very well aware right now.
The trial that never ends.
What?
The trial that never ends.
It's true. We're almost there. I swear. We're on the defense rebuttal closings. No, prosecution rebuttal.
I'm going to stop real quick. One of my
Okay.
besties, one of my gays just said hi. It's my
Hello.
Chew.
Hi. Hello.
If you listen to any of the early podcasts, the Chew is on a couple of them, but I invited him for the one, I don't remember the name of the case, but where the guy cut off the other guy's genitalia with a wine bottle opener.
Oh,
And
boy,
the
I do
look
not
on
like that.
Chew's
Oh.
face when I did that, because we were together, and I will tell you, I have never seen someone squirm so bad. And I love him for it because he was so okay with it. He was my very first guest ever on the podcast.
That's awesome. He needs to come back. Come on back.
Yeah, sorry. I needed a lighthearted laugh because I'm going to just be honest, this case is very triggering for me.
We are almost done.
I know.
Promise. So the jury spent only 2 hours to come back with a guilty verdict, and they were sentenced to whole life in prison or life without parole for the Americans out there. While in prison, they each confessed to the murders of all 5 children and take the police to find the other bodies up on the moor. But the body of Keith Bennett and Pauline Lead would never be found. People still go searching, and they hope to find Keith's body. Even up to 2021, his body was being searched for by his family. Both Hindley and Brodie have since died in prison, and hope remains that one day the body of Keith will be found. So, for me, when reading this script, or when Shireen was doing her research, it affected us deeply, kind of on an emotional level, and I think it has for everybody here. These crimes were horrifyingly brutal, and couldn't get much worse details than the ones that we've just heard about. While Brodie and Hindley remained in jail for the rest of their lives, justice for Keith and Pauline was never accomplished. We feel for their families, as well as every family that loses a loved one, because of the actions of such a dangerous and deranged individual, pair of individuals, or just there's a bunch of paper towels. So wait, what? Where am I? I'm so sorry.
Would you like another glass of wine, my love?
My brain went so far left. I am so tired. Okay. I'm going to try the last line.
And I love it.
Again, I'm pulling a lot of things. Actually, I really can't deliver that last line again, so I'll just cut it after the first time, to be honest with you. It feels disingenuous to try and do that last line again. But it's true. I mean, we feel for their families, and every family that loses a loved one because of the actions of these dangerous and deranged individuals. So that's the Morris murders. That's the Morris murders. And that's the end of J.T. is really what that comes down to. Game over, man. Game over.
You need to sleep. That was good. I have to tell you, that is a case I've always steered clear of.
Uh-oh.
And I have to say, when you sent over that that's the one you were doing, it didn't register with me until it popped up tonight. And I was like, oh, I can do this. I'm still sounding like a man, but no. I mean, it's triggering, but I am still a firm believer that we have to understand our past to help educate and prevent the future.
I agree. And I think it's a fascinating what I did was I acknowledged just the absolute terrible acts that they committed, and I acknowledged the fact that this case is just deranged and dark and dismal, and it's just terrible. So after usually what happens is after I recognize that, I will then start substituting for my interest in, like, how could any of these folks do this? But then also in this case, how did both of them end up together in a way that where they felt comfortable taking these actions? And so for me, kind of asking that question kind of helped me work through it. And I can't even imagine what it was like for Shireen to do the research on that one. So thanks, Shireen.
Yeah. I mean, Shireen, please don't hate me for this. Considering she wrote one of our first perfect crimes, and I think it's the case that we've given the highest ranking to. I hope your neighbors know you well, Shireen, because your mind is as wicked as mine and JT's.
Shireen said Ian and Myra were trusted by their neighbors, and I think there's a lesson in that.
There is. Wow. Normally, I have the darker cases.
Yeah, it's fair. Shireen wants to kill a stranger, so just get to know her, and you're fine. That's funny.
You know, and that's one reason, like, we decided not to do the perfect crime tonight. I have to say, our viewers and listeners, they love killing random people. So the moral to that story is get to know everybody, because then they won't kill you, or it lowers your chances.
Become more gregarious, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, I think, for that. Oh, I just hit my microphone. My case is nowhere as dark. It's still brutal, but like I said earlier, I used to want to be a neuropsychologist and work with people who had brain injuries, but also the more extremes of things. And couple killers has always been one that fascinates me. And I'll be honest, when I thought of starting a podcast, I thought of doing couple killers. And then I watched several Snapped episodes and realized they didn't do a great job at it. And I decided I didn't want to live in the brains of couples that kill.
Yeah, no.
I need some variety. Kind of like our thief at the top of our start tonight before we went into the Chase Lackey case. Buckles. Every now and then I need some buckles in my life. Oh, okay. We just got proof that we're safe. Shireen is not going to kill us.
I mean, you know, every killer escalates, so.
Shireen, I got your back.
You're safe until you're not, y'all.
So, well, my case isn't as dark, and my couple is a very young couple. They were both 18.
Jeez.
18. And from Texas, outside of the Dallas area, hence the Texas glass. And of course, we already talked about our wine pairing because I got an A tonight, so I needed to remind y'all of that. It is the first time in my podcasting career that I've gotten an A. So I'm going to be cocky and take it. So I did not make slides for mine because, guys, to be honest, I am still adjusting to this whole live thing. I might have to reach out to Shireen and say, hey, if I send you my script, will you make me some pretty slides? Because as JT has found, I'm not good with visuals. I'm a girl.
You had great visuals. The charts were awesome.
Yeah, we won't say how long that took to do those charts.
It doesn't
Hey, I was on
matter
bed
how
rest.
long it took.
I was on bed rest. What else did I have to do, right? Besides HH. Okay, you caught it.
Dead. Dead. I died and now I'm dead.
So,
Oh, boy.
Adriana Jones was a vibrant young woman with dreams of pursuing higher education. She was a beautiful person known for her kind heart. She was dedicated to academics and a passion for running, and she hoped to go to Texas A&M, gig 'em. She was a student who excelled in honor courses. Why are you laughing at that? If Monkey Butt was on, I tell her she can go to 2 colleges and we'll pay. She can go to A&M if she wants a cute guy, or she can go to UT, Texas, like her pawpaw, if she wants a smart one. But let me categorize, there are good-looking ones that go to Texas, like her pawpaw, but most of them go to A&M. So anyway, kick 'em. Anyway, she also had a passion for running, and nobody was chasing her, so I do not understand the whole running thing, because if no one's chasing you or trying to kill you, I don't know why you run. I don't.
It's like the slow rhinoceros in Jumanji.
I'm like, I don't. My friend, my neighbor across the street runs, and I'm like, why? Who's chasing you? I will swim laps, you run. But anyway, she was in honor classes, and she was respected to her commitment to her studies and her athletic pursuits, but she also had a job, and she was very relentless in pursuit of justice in her community. And she was 16. And she cared about equality, which, I mean, at 16, I can tell you, equality was not something I thought of. I was more worried about Madonna, how to get my bustier out of the house with my parents seeing, and packing extra clothes to change into that my parents didn't know about because they told me I couldn't wear them. So I had to make sure I wore them, those kind of things. So she was way beyond me. But however, tragedy struck on the evening of December 3rd, 1995, when Adriana was last seen by her mother in her bedroom talking on the phone. Her family reported her missing the next morning, triggering a police investigation. The following day, however, Adriana's lifeless body was discovered near Joe Pool Lake in Grand Prairie, Texas. It's right outside of Dallas. She had been brutally beaten and had suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Now, the investigation into her murder was extensive for this small town. The police interviewed and polygraphed numerous individuals. You know, knowing polygraphs aren't, taken in court, they were still like, it gives us a baseline. Everybody that she was friends with, and people were just lining up to do them. But despite their efforts, the case went cold, leaving the family just upset. Now, I think it's essential to provide background on the couple that we're getting ready to talk about. So Diane and David, so we're going to call them the double D, as their relationship with Adriana played a crucial role in this case. Diane and David met at the age of 14, but they didn't start dating till 4 years later. So they didn't start dating till they were 18, but they met when they were 14. However, their relationship quickly escalated. Within a month of dating, he proposed. They agreed to get married after they finished college. I mean, 30 days. Yes, Kelly P, JT be tired.
This week has been something else, y'all. And I need
Well,
two
you're
sticks
lucky.
from my boss.
You're lucky my case is short tonight. It is short
Um,
tonight.
And it is in no way a commentary on your case or delivery. It is simply that emotionally and physically bent.
I get it. I get it. So, like I said, they planned to marry after college. However, friends and family noted that their relationship seemed unhealthy, characterized by an intense obsession with each other. So I'm going to just say, if a guy's proposing after 30 days and you're 18,
Run.
there might be something wrong with that relationship, you know?
Wait, your response should be this. Oh, you can't hear it because I'm not sharing a screen. Well, sugar water. Never mind.
We'll share your screen.
Oh, fine. Is it worth it? I don't know. We'll find out.
It is because I like your funnies.
My bunnies. Let's see. Here we go.
Run away! Run away!
Money.
Exactly. Run as fast as you can. But I'm going to say they were two peas in a pod. So Diane was raised in a religious household, and she was known for her reserved nature. So she didn't have a lot of friends, but she didn't have enemies. She was just kind of that person in high school that, I hate to say the word, but was kind of invisible. She just kind of went along with everything. Meanwhile, David and Adriana attended the same high school together in Mansfield, while Diane went to school in nearby Crowley, Texas. I always talk like everybody knows Texas, and I have to remember, not everybody does. But
I would argue far fewer these days.
I mean, I was born here, raised here. I can't say that I'm proud of my state these days, as I've mentioned before.
Sorry for my rudeness.
No, it's okay. Texas is on meth, and they really need to go to rehab. The only thing they could do worse was bring Trump here. But anyway, at the time of Adriana's murder, Adriana was 16. Diane and David were 18. I mean, yeah. So, oh, hold on. I just totally jumped. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but anyway, I know. I'm like, I just pulled a J.T. So they went to separate schools, Diane and David. However, they were very in tuned with each other. Now, David and Adriana both were on, I forget what the word is called, but cross country. So they ran for no damn reason. And they traveled to Lubbock, Texas for an event. Well, they get back. David decides he needs to make Diane jealous. So he tells her that he pulled over on the side of the road and he cheated on her with Adriana because he wanted to get her jealous. Little did he know doing this was going to spin their lives out of control, because after she finished crying, screaming, telling him how much she hated him, she said, the only way for you to make this better is for us to kill her.
Good God. That escalated quickly.
Yeah, so I said it was like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And nobody wore protection. Basically is how it goes. So Adriana went missing. Case went cold. Diane went off to, David went off to the Naval Academy. And Diane went off to the Army. They stayed together, even though they were physically apart. However, Diana, because as I always say, nobody can keep a secret, especially not a female, or not the females that I know. I shouldn't generalize, but not the females I know. So she became friends with this guy and she started telling him her secret. And you might be saying, what is that secret? Well,
Victoria.
No, not Victoria's secrets. Like my grandmother always said, Mama used to tell me, Victoria, she ain't got no secrets because she done showed all of them.
I was gonna say Victoria doesn't have any secrets left. Aw, yay!
Yeah, my mom always with you. She was like, do not buy your underwear from there. Everybody has seen them. And me being me, I was like, they haven't seen them on me. So, like I said, they were off at their own places, but they remained together. But she told this male friend about this, and then she told her roommates that she and David were responsible for murdering somebody. So those roommates were upstanding citizens. I mean, you don't go into the military and want to be in the military to be a bad person, right? So they actually went and reported it to a Navy chaplain. And it was within a matter of days that this cold case was no longer cold because they alerted Texas and the detectives flew to Annapolis where Diane was attending the Naval Academy. See, I have it backwards. They both went to military, just opposite places. Initially, she denied her confession, claiming that she made it up. She was just trying to be tough and impress her fellow cadets. But the police had no evidence on her, so they had to continue their investigation. However, the academy suspended her and sent her home. But instead of going home, she did what every crazy female does. She flew to go to see David. Little did she know that the police were not far behind them because they were following her. So they brought David in for questioning. I'm like, what were you thinking? You don't go to your counterpart, but okay. But David initially denied. He goes, I don't know why she would make up them lies. She'd be lying. Well, guess what? He was a softie. It didn't take very long for him to break down and start singing. And he gave a 4.5-page front and back confession of what happened. So I'm not going to read you the full confession. It's out there if you want to see it. It is some bunny boiler stuff. But David claimed that Diane had coerced him into killing Adriana due to his prior infidelity with her. David stated that Diane threatened to leave him if he didn't comply and declared no one could stand between me and Diane. I mean, guys, remember, they had been together like a month and got engaged. Where else could this possibly have gone, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he gave all of the gruesome details. Now, it included that Adriana agreed to sneak out, so he went and picked her up. Little did she know, Diane was hiding in the hatchback with a dumbbell.
Great.
And while they were driving down the road, she pulls out a dumbbell and beat Adriana in the head. And Adriana tried to escape. She opened the door and jumped out. And David said, he goes, I was shocked to see that the dumbbell didn't kill her. It wasn't anything like the movies show. I thought we would hit her a couple of times and she'd be dead. And my thought there is, it's just like DNA. You don't get DNA back in 30 minutes, people. It doesn't. But so Adriana jumped out. She got away, but she didn't get very far because it did a lot of damage, hitting someone in the head repeatedly with a dumbbell. But she tried. Yeah. David jumped out of the car, got her, and he shot her twice in the head. And they dumped her body. Now, after they did this, they went to a friend's house. Mind you, this friend did not turn them in. But this friend let them in and let them shower and change clothes because they were covered in blood. Let me repeat, the friend did not call the cops.
No, of course not.
So at 18, I'm just going to say, my bestie could have shown up covered in blood. If she was with her boyfriend and they told me what they did, I would have been calling the cops. Now, if she showed up and she killed her boyfriend because he beat her, I'd probably help her hide the body and then we would call the cops. But that's a totally different scenario, right? I mean,
we're not there.
But weren't there, but the friend asked no questions, apparently. But they were both arrested and charged with murder. Now, Diane expressed callousness, and she stated that Adriana deserved her fate and that anyone who came between her and David had to die and deserved to die. Now, the motive behind Adriana's murder stemmed, of course, from jealousy, anger, and a desire for revenge. And it was because David told Diane that he had this affair. He cheated with Adriana, and it triggered, I'm sure, feelings. 18-year-old girl, all of the feelings that you feel. He wants somebody else. You weren't good enough. All of those things, right? And then they planned this careful killing. Well, here's the crazy thing. David lied. He did not cheat on her with Adriana. So it was a lie. His lie cost this 16-year-old girl her life. He could have at any point said, I just made it up. I was just trying to get your attention. He never cheated. It came out, he did not even drive Adriana home from the track event. She rode home with somebody else. Dan didn't even question, why didn't you tell me then that you drove her? I mean, there's just so many things. I remember being 18 and I remember being crazy because I am a firm believer that females all have crazy times in their lives when they're in relationships, when you're younger. There's different levels, but you don't lie and say you cheated to get somebody jealous. And especially when the person says, okay, now we got to kill her. You got to come clean, dude. So I'm just going to say that they were both found guilty. Not going to go into all of the gory details. The one thing that shocked me about Diane, she told one reporter that the plan was, in her mind, they were going to kill Adriana. And then she was going to have sex with David next to Adriana's body to prove that she was better and more deserving.
It's so messed up.
Yeah. So, needless to say, neither one of them saw their careers where they wanted to be. You know, David wanted to be a fighter pilot, hence why we're drinking the infamous goose. And Diane was smart as well. And she had a good career ahead of her, except for they got into this crazy tangled thing. Interesting enough, David confessed. She did confess, but later retracts it and says she lied in her confession. David has shown remorse, has apologized to the family, and he says he is exactly where he should be. He goes, I deserve to be where I am. Diane, not so much. She has filed all of these appeals. She is now out of appeals. Did I just say appeals? Yeah. Anyway, the interesting thing, appeals. Diane was granted permission to marry Stephen Mora just in 2003 while incarcerated. She never met him. They were pen pals. He was incarcerated somewhere else. They got married by proxy. Her mom and a male friend of hers stood in for the couple to get married. Did anybody know this happened? Did you know that you could get married by proxy?
I think I had heard of something like that, but the difficulties just, why?
I never had. Well, guess what? They got divorced in 2008. Thankfully, he's in prison too. And she didn't have to kill anybody because they got divorced and it wasn't because he cheated or he didn't lie about cheating.
Right.
But she changed her story. And this is the thing that is so frustrating. This has been in recent times, claiming she was only guilty of being an accessory and said she didn't do the actual killing, which she did not. David did. But she did hit her in the head. So she did have aggravated assault. Mm-hmm. She helped him plan it. She helped him cover it up. So she's a lot more involved than she wants to admit to. Now, David, like I said, he's expressed remorse. Now, he also got married. Didn't find out if it was by proxy or anything. The interesting thing to me, he's gotten a bachelor's degree while in prison in criminology.
I feel like that's a pretty common occurrence these days.
And now he's doing seminary school because he wants to be a jailhouse pastor. Now, the only thing I can say, he's at least owned up to the mistake he made. I mean, he was 18. We've got to take into account that at 18, your brain, your thinking, it's not fully formed. Mm-hmm. Trying to give a little bit of compassion. Not saying he doesn't deserve. I do appreciate the fact that he agrees he's where he should be and he deserves the punishment he got. I at least admire the fact he's owning it and has told her family that much. Now, he also started a blog from prison called Prison News Exposed. And what he does, and I found this interesting, he writes letters to a third party who posted on his behalf, because they do not have access to computers.
Wow.
And I found that, was kind of interesting. That didn't sound right. Now, one of Adriana's close friends, Jeff Lackey, and I found that interesting considering we're covering Chase Lackey case, but they're not related, but I just found that little Texas, what? I'm getting an A today. But he described that he visited the gruesome scene where her body was found right after she was found. He said the grass was soaked in a crimson color and you could see an outline of her body pressed into the grass. And he said that she was one of the nicest, kindest people, and you could ask her for anything and she would be there for you, even if you didn't know her. A stranger could walk up. So she was one of those good people. Now, Adriana had a couple of brothers. One of them expressed his inability to hate David. And I found this interesting. He stated, he goes, I can't hate him because he's an animal, and animals are ignorant, dumb, and blind. Now, I just have to go on record and say, I get what he's trying to say, but let's not say that about poor little animals. They're not ignorant. They're not dumb. They're
Right.
not blind.
Right.
I mean, I get what he's trying to say. That, it's an animal. You can't hate them. But the other brother said he ruined so many lives, so many families. And unlike my brother, I can hate an animal and I can hate David Graham. So interesting, from opposite sides, but two brothers. So they are both in prison. They are eligible for parole when they are 58 years old. Now, knowing it's Texas,
Well,
I really don't imagine that they will be granted parole that quickly. So
no,
I
doubt
left
it.
out a lot of the gruesome details because I just couldn't after the Moore case we just did. So I skipped a lot of that.
Sure.
And the reason this case interested me is the fact that society, we always blame men, or a lot of times it's the men that are manipulating domestic violence and things. Diane was able to manipulate him, and she was good at it. And if he would have never started dating her, his life would have probably been a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah, for sure.
he made a comment that his bad decision was killing Adriana, and I would like to say your first bad decision was dating her. I can tell you they are no longer in contact. Their love did not last. And she, of course, says it was all him and she's innocent. So I suspect he will get out on parole before her because he's owned it.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to better himself. I could not find anywhere that she has done anything like that. All she is doing is sitting there screaming, saying, I'm innocent. I didn't do it. I was bamboozled, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-mm.
And that is my case. And now I sound like a man even more. But that is my case. I kept it short because I knew the Chase Lackey update was a little long.
Yeah.
Tonight, but it's a good case. There's a lot of craziness. I will say it is a case. When the podcast is posted, you'll see all of the sources. She has flipped and flopped like a fish out of water with her stories. And I never thought I would say I admired a murderer, but I admire him for owning what he did wrong.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was 18. She was 18. They were both young, and, they made some really bad decisions and they ruined their lives. But it shows that he does have a chance of maybe being accepted back into society.
Maybe.
So that's all I got.
Well, as everybody in chat and you have probably seen, I am struggle bussing.
I know. So let's shut this down. I will say, I know you'll play the video, but stay safe. Watch out for crime. Enjoying your wine time. And get some sleep, for God's sakes, JT.
On my way. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.